Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Don't miss a second of the action from Bomel Squad. Listen to the best double plays in the business.
Wisely has it, flips to Fitzgerald for 1, over to first, double play!
Plays at the plate.
Freeman hits a high chopper to Chapman. He's got it. He's coming home. And the throw in the tag, and they got him.
Sean Miller's home run calls.
There's a shot. Deep down the left field line. It's on its way from Berkeley. Adios, pelota.
All season long on the San Francisco Giants Radio Network. Seam Heads. Our Giants game day coverage begins now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping,
Diving. He makes the catch.
and bats start cracking,
It is gone.
we bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie
That's what we do. We talk ball.
on KNBR, the sports leader. Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Laurie
I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
on your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. Like the way you think.
KNBR 1045 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Baseball on this Sunday as we get ready for Game 4 between the Giants and the Dodgers down in Los Angeles. A pleasure to bring in the professor early today. It's a busy day for everybody, and, Wo, thanks for taking the time to join us. How are you?
I'm doing great, of course, Marty. You know I wouldn't miss it, so good to be with you this morning.
Yeah, well, you're down in L.A. Well, it's been a tough 3 days for the Giants, and I want to get your impression of what you see and what the atmosphere has been like. The Kershaw stuff, Ohtani, my God, I'm starting to believe in him, well, to watch him play. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts of at least the last 3 days down there.
Well, it's kind of what I expected. You know, they had, packed house. This place is loud. I mean, the sound system alone, you can't talk to each other when they get that music pumping. And it's always been like that down here. You know, no lead is safe. You know, they start getting men on base, and the music goes, and the crowd gets into it. And I think, you know, some of the young players, you definitely can feel that anxiety on the field. Oh, no, here they come. And they have a really good team. Look, Ohtani is Ohtani and Betts, and I mean those first 3 guys in the lineup are special players, and they're the ones been getting the big hits. I thought we had them last night with the lead. We just couldn't hold on and hold them back. But it's disappointing certainly to lose the first 3. But that's the way it's been going. So all we can do is try to win today, and we need to finish these last 7 games, win as many games as possible.
Well, you got to see Eldridge get his first big league hit last night, and it was a big one, double off the left field wall. And look, you've seen Eldridge all year, and you were an advocate to get him up here. How'd you feel about the hit he had, and how's he doing?
Well, I'm happy for him, to get the hit. It was awful special for him, too, because his family, went to Arizona. And, it's a great thing the Giants do, fly the families in. I mean, when I got my major league call up back in the day, just like everybody, your family wasn't even entered into the picture. And it's really great that they fly him out and put him out. And I heard they put him up till they get his first hit. So I don't know if that's true or not, but they're still here, and it's his mom's birthday, as you probably read, and it's exciting for them. It was a big hit in the game. Look, he's been putting up good at bats. He really has. I mean, he has, 5 strikeouts. But I thought his debut in Arizona was really good. He hit the ball hard twice. One of them they said would have been a home run, and I don't know how many parks, most of the parks in baseball, but he hit the ball hard twice. The number one thing that I notice, he's not intimidated. He feels like he belongs. There's no stress on him. You could tell that his makeup just allows him to take this in stride as if he was playing up in Sacramento. So he looks very comfortable, and he's looked good at the plate as well, Marty.
Yeah, it was fun talking to him, and I saw him at the games in Arizona, and he's another one. He's 20 years old, but he talks to you like he's 40 years old. Nothing seems to faze the kid, and he's been schooled very well with media relations, I'll tell you that. But what impressed me about him was, the pitchers, the way they worked him. They didn't, you always say the kid comes up, can he hit the fastball? Well, they're not waiting around to see if he can hit the fastball. Zach Gallen threw him 4 changeups in a row in his first at bat, and that's kind of the way they deal with him.
Yeah, you're going to get a little bit of everything. I think, in today's game, the scouting, even in AAA, in the video that's available, I mean, you can pull up every video from minor league games, even in A-ball. Every game is video logged, and you don't have all the camera angles, but you can pull up the games and see it, and the coaches in the major leagues can as well. So it's easier than just relying on a scout. You can look at it yourself. You can see what the guy does. There's so many statistics today. So everybody knows, like most young players, they're better fastball hitters and off-speed hitters, and that's usually the number one thing that we say. If you didn't know a guy, let's see if we can hit the off-speed. Don't throw fastballs in fastball counts. Throw the off-speed in fastball counts, and for a long, long time that would get young hitters out. But in today's game, now that the analytics has come in, and different people have been running the game, you see a lot more breaking balls. The National League, Marty, what we remember was a fastball league. Well, now it's an American league, right? There's more off speed thrown behind in the count, 3-2 big situations than we ever seen before in a game. So it's not surprising that he's going to get a lot of off speed, as you well know.
Well, it's great to see him. It's exciting. It gave the ball club a little shot in the arm to see him up here this week. So I like it. I like the move. The other thing I saw on Wednesday in Arizona, and you weren't there for that one, but Verlander, my goodness. Before you know it, it's 6 shutout innings. And what impressed me about him, and I want to get your thoughts about his preparation or what that means, but, it was about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before the game, and I walked by the video room. And there he is. He's in there basically alone with the headset on, just watching video. Now, this is a guy who's 42 years old. He's made 600 major league starts, and he's going out to face the Diamondbacks in a game that, they have to win. But sitting there studying video, half hour, 40 minutes before the game, I said, wow, so that's what he does. How about that?
Yeah, no, well, look, you don't become a Hall of Famer and stick around for, 20 years not being prepared. And, the thing that stands out is a lot of the great players that, I've seen over the years, he's a driven person. He's driven. He wants to be good. He's not satisfied with mediocrity. And I think Kershaw is the same way, retiring. I mean, he's still been fairly effective for the team, but, I saw him in the outfield and I congratulate him. He just said it was time. It was time. He knows that he's got a big family. But Verlander, to your point, it's been impressive what he has done this year, the start that he got off to, and he keeps trying to get better. And he has been just fabulous, our best pitcher probably his last 5 or 6 starts. But even though Webb was tremendous the other day against the Dodgers. But I hear him talking to, he wants to continue. He's always tinkering. He's always thinking of a way to be better. I mean, I heard him talking to our pitching coach about, trying to get a little more velocity. He has his command now, being crisper with certain pitchers. So this is the way he is. He's just built to be the best he possibly can be. And, I think he's going to continue pitching, and he'll probably do well because that's the way he approaches the game.
Yeah, I like what I saw with him. They put out a stat today about Giants' first career hit at Dodger Stadium. Well, listen to a couple of these names. Johnny Monell. Remember him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure do. Sure do. He used to run around in New York City when they dressed up all the rookies in these, these shorts and no shirt uniforms, get-ups that they had for him. And they brought them all down to Times Square. You remember that? And they were running around Times Square looking like a bunch of idiots. It was hilarious. Johnny Monell was part of that. Good guy, Johnny.
All right. Ere Adrianza, he was one of your infielders. Well, you worked with him a lot, and he made a career for himself.
Yeah, he did. Look, he came up with us. I think we signed him at 16. Jose Alguacil also spent a lot of time with him in the minor leagues and developed him. He came up here with us. We eventually let him go, and he went on to get over 10 years in the major league and had a real good career as a utility player, shortstop, and did a nice job.
How about Brian Bocock? Remember him?
Oh, how can I forget? He made the team out of spring training hitting 200, but we didn't have a shortstop. And we went for the defense back a la, Mark Belanger and Larry Boa, right? You're going to go for the defense. And cause we didn't have another option, and gave him an opportunity, but he could really pick it at shortstop. And, of course, he didn't hit and didn't stick around all that long, but he played fabulous defense.
Yeah, I love these names. Travis Blackley, how about him?
Oh, yeah, left-handed pitcher. Yeah, I remember Blackley.
Australia, was it Australia?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's an Aussie, and he got his first hit. He was a pitcher, isn't he?
Yes.
Travis.
Well,
yes.
I guess it says 2007 he got his first hit.
Well, I believe he was a pitcher, right? And he got his first hit as a pitcher. Good for him.
Yeah. Angel Chavez. I don't remember him.
Angel Chavez. I remember. I'm Marty. You're making me look bad on your show here. I don't remember him either, unfortunately. I don't know who it is.
All right. If anyone knows, text me or tweet it in. Angel Chavez. All right. I'll give you one more. Dan Ortmeyer. How about that? That's a familiar name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dan Ortmeyer. Sure. He was a top prospect, left-handed hitter. Fine young man. I remember one day in spring training, he pinch hit, right? And I told him, I told him he was going to stay in the game, and he stayed in the game, and he was all confused, and he was involved in a double. No, that's what it was. He was involved in a double switch, Marty. So I double switched him into the game, and he was going to be like the second hitter, okay? And he went in for another player, so he just assumed he was going to hit in a different spot, and he comes in and he says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Wotus, I've never been involved with a double switch. I didn't know what that was," because he wasn't ready to hit. He didn't know he was going to be up like the first guy. So, I remember that vividly. Dan Ortmeyer. There's one other player that got their first hit, not a giant, well, a AAA giant. I don't know. That would be myself. One of my many hits, Marty, July 4th off of Oral Hershiser, 1984 here at Dodger Stadium. It was it would have been a double, but Milt May was on first and he didn't make it to third, so I had to stop at first.
Did you tell that to Oral? He's there,
Yeah, no, I haven't seen Oral. He doesn't come out of the booth. Of course, I'm watching it upstairs. I walk by his booth, but don't want to bother him. Of course, he was a giant and pitched for us and the whole thing, but yeah, we locked horns a lot in AAA. We came up around the same time, so I faced him many times when he was in Albuquerque. Yeah.
Isn't that the beauty of baseball, Wo, to go back like this and bring this back and just talk about it, and the images become so vivid, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. You're exactly right. I mean, I hear from old players. You run into players as years go by. They show up at a ballpark, guys that played for the Giants. It's really, really fun. Desi Wilson called me the other day played in the big leagues a short time, but he's working for the Cubs in the minor leagues, and that's the beauty of it, the people you meet, and it's all about the people, right? The people you work with, the people you have on the team, and the experiences that you have.
Yeah. Our movie, Baseball Mensch, the Marty Lurie story, is going to have another screening at the Vogue Theater September 27th at 7 p.m. Tickets are $15, and all the proceeds go to the Vogue Theater, an independent theater. You're going to be there. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Doing it again. I'm looking forward to being there with you and seeing the movie again. And I'm just excited that the Vogue Theater is playing it again, because I know there's a lot of people that want to see it, and those that haven't really need to see it, because it is so well done, and there's so many. Not only the star of Marty Lurie in this, you got a pretty good comedy bit going in this movie, Marty, I have to admit. But Bay Area personalities, there's so many in the movie that you get to see and listen to them talk. So it's just a fabulous film.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll do a Q&A afterwards, which is always a lot of fun with you, me, Michael Gaines, Larry Krueger's going to be there. But fans can go to Vogue Movies, VOGUE, movies, MOVIES.com, and just go to tickets, scroll to where the tickets are, and you go down to September 27th at 7 p.m., and you can buy tickets. And the first one sold out pretty fast, so if you're interested, I would absolutely go and do it. Well, let's talk about the ball club just for a couple of seconds here before we let you go. I know you got to get on the bus. Are they down? How do they feel? They're still fighting. I mean, they're 7 games to go and 5 back, so it's not over yet. How does it look to you?
Well, they're still fighting. There's no doubt about it, but it is, it's not getting any easier, obviously. And they know the reality of it, but there's no quit. I mean, they're doing everything they can. I mean, we still have early hit, and everybody's still preparing. And I hear the energy. I don't sit in the dugout. Has been good during the games. It's just you have to execute, and you have to find a way to win a game. And right now, it's been tough against the Dodgers, which they're on a roll. They're at home. They have their fans. They got into the playoffs, so they have everything going their way. And today's a new day, right? Trevor McDonald's going to get the start today, and hopefully he can give us some innings. He's got great movement on his pitches. He's got a nice sinker, slider, changeup. We saw him the other day for a couple innings. So hopefully he can hold them down, keep us in the game. We need to have a lead going into the 5th or 6th. We're not getting a chance to finish off a game. So I think that's the important thing today.
All right, good analysis. All right, have a safe trip home. Enjoy the game today, and I'll see you at the ballpark this week.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Marty. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
All right, be well. All right, that's the professor. More coming up. Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Hello again, Marty Lurie here to talk about my good friends at Georgie Brothers, the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. If you really want to experience something special while shopping for a high-quality furniture for your home, Georgie Brothers is a must store to visit. The knowledge of the non-commissioned sales staff allows you to find the perfect piece of furniture for any room in your home and outdoor as well. It's Rob, Tom, Steve, Michael, Elise. They've been my sponsors for over 20 years. I have Georgie Brothers furniture in all my homes, and all the children have them as well. I can't say enough about the quality of buying furniture from Georgie Brothers and just the experience of working with them. It is unmatched in the Bay Area. So for selecting and purchasing the white glove delivery into your home, Georgie Brothers will be there for you. Visit them at georgiebrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Or even better, visit their 50,000 square foot showroom at South San Francisco and wait till you see the baseball memorabilia. Hey fans, Gene Bagato checked in from Bodega Bay, and he told me that with the coming arrival of fall, they're expecting some of the best weather of the year up on the Sonoma coast. And what better way to enjoy such a fabulous climate than a trip to the Tides Wharf? At the restaurant, a varied menu awaits guests, offering such classics as New England clam chowder, in-house smoked salmon, and fried calamari to fresh seafood salads. I love it. Pastas and grilled fish. If the beach is your destination, the fish market offers whatever food and beverages one needs for a picnic. While across the Great Hall, the gift shop has not only stylish beachwear, but the perfect souvenirs to take home. And if you're looking for an extended stay, just across Highway 1, the Inn at the Tides with its large, comfortable rooms and heated pool is waiting for you. Wow. So if you're looking for the perfect fall getaway not far from the Bay Area, look no further than the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball today. Bruce Jenkins joins us. Bruce, good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
Good. Nice to have you with us. Boy, it's not the week the Giants expected, Bruce. I got to see it down here in Arizona. It just didn't connect for them, whether it was pitching, getting the out when they needed, getting a hit. And then they ran into the buzzsaw known as the Dodgers, and it's been a tough week.
Yeah, it was pretty comprehensive. I mean, I think the biggest thing was they were down to two starting pitchers, really, and neither one of them really came up big against the Dodgers. So what are you going to do? I mean, the hitting was disappointing. I think the two-strike hitting was especially so. But overall, the Dodgers series just kind of made clear what people were seeing, in spring training. I mean, this is a very, very powerful team. Ohtani is just ridiculous. Their rotation looks exceptional all of a sudden. The Giants didn't see Snell. He's been unhittable. Between Yamamoto and Glasnow and just on and on. They've got a rotation built for the postseason now, and the Giants are just trying to get respectable in the final week, and it's going to be tough. The Cardinals are coming in. They could pass the Giants. Everybody else has. They could pass the Giants. For that matter, so could Miami this week.
Well, we got today Trevor McDonald on the hill against Emmett Sheehan. Bruce, Emmett Sheehan, if maybe one of those bullpen guys for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And Mark Simon and I will talk about this in the next segment when he breaks it down. But Sheehan, as a reliever, the hitters are 4 for 45 against him. And he's sort of their secret weapon.
Well, they need it, too. I mean, outside of Vesia, they don't have any reliable guys out there. Scott and Trinan have been good in the past, but Kopech, but not right now by any means. There's some talk about Ohtani coming out of the bullpen in the postseason, which would be interesting. It could complicate things as to whether he stays in the game, is he still DH, whatever. But he can handle whatever they throw at him. Let's put it that way. This guy set the all-time Dodger home run record last year. Think about that. That's pretty mind-blowing in itself, and he's probably going to pass it.
Yeah, after watching him, and I've been a big Schwarber supporter, and look, Schwarber leads in RBIs, 129. He's tied with Ohtani now with 53 homers. But you just watch Ohtani on this team. He is the team. Freddie Freeman and Betts, they do their thing, but he's in a different world.
No, I agree. I mean, I love Schwarber. We talk about him all the time, and he's totally making a case. But, that team is just so loaded ahead, and Trey Turner and Harper and Castellanos and the Dodgers they have a very good lineup. But Ohtani, he just dominates. When you think about, he's got the same amount of homers as Schwarber, and he pitches. I mean, I think that's kind of over.
Yeah, and you make a mistake to him, and it's gone, and that's the deal. You lay it out on the. Robbie Ray put it on the black perfect pitch, and he just flicked it into left field, and that was the end of that game. So, how about Cal Raleigh, Bruce, with Judge? I know Judge 329. He's probably going to win the batting title. 129 runs scored for Judge, but Cal Raleigh's got the 57 home runs. Broke Mickey Mantle's record for the most home runs by a switch hitter. How about that?
I tell you, all my favorite switch hitters, whatever this category, Ted Simmons, Eddie Murray, Mantle, Bench, Griffey, they've all been dusted by Cal Raleigh. The Mantle one really hit home for me because I thought that would never be broken. Of course, he's an idol, iconic, and everything else. But I think Raleigh's passed him. The Judge is a great story, but the Mariners are a great story. And he's at the heart of it. He's certainly not all of it. They've got an awful lot going for him up there. Great rotation. If Wu is okay, he got hurt a little bit. But I think that story is kind of overriding right now. I mean, Judge, Lord knows, he's one of the great right-hand hitters we've ever seen, and he's having another one of those seasons. But I think right now, Raleigh might have an edge.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe with Seattle up by 2 now on Houston, and they're playing great ball, and they've got a winning streak going. So I think that may do it for him. And there's the element of, look, hey, the Yankees may catch Toronto. There's some races going on here, Bruce. We haven't touched on Cleveland and Detroit yet, but the Yankees still aren't out of it with Toronto.
Yeah, everybody talks about Judge, but those guys are homering. Just they're out of their minds. It's Stanton and Jazz Chisholm is a 30-30 guy now. Take you back to Bobby Bonds with the Yanks, Bellinger, ridiculous Grisham, Ryan McMahon, Austin Wells, Ben Rice. I mean, they're just a home run machine at that team. And the pitching's been real good. Max Fried had a great outing. Rodon has been very good. Those two guys will open the playoff series, and that could easily get them a couple of wins. The way they're hitting, and they just a smile on Aaron Boone's face last night talking about Stanton and the team. They've gotten past a really brutal stretch. So yeah, big story there. And I don't know what's going on with Detroit, but I do know Cleveland was 15.5 games out in July 7th or 8th or something like that. They're 1 game out right now behind Detroit. So amazing stuff going on there.
And they play Detroit this week in Cleveland. They've got 3 games with Detroit. And they've won 15 of 16. Detroit's lost 8 of 9. And I like it because it just goes to what we always say, that it's never over. And you just got to play the season. So I think that's the best example for me. So we'll see where this week takes us. You're right. The Giants need some wins. They need some wins and end this thing on a very positive note. 5 back with 7 to go, so it's almost over. Bruce, a good historical note today, and we love Vida Blue. And this one I remember so well. 1970, he came up to the big leagues, and he no-hit the Minnesota Twins, 8-0. How about that?
Yeah, he comes up late, and he already had a couple maybe great starts behind him, but now it's in Oakland. Huge crowd, 4,284. The A's were out of it, and Minnesota's in town, and they've got the division clinched, and they've got champagne in the clubhouse. Tony Oliva and Harmon Killebrew, and Rod Carew didn't play in this game where he got no hit. He'd hurt himself and only performed just a little bit in the postseason. But Vida, this guy's about to become the biggest story in baseball. The next year, he wins everything. He's the Cy Young. He's the MVP. Starts the All-Star game. He's a national sensation. 1.8-something ERA, and so this was a real precursor, not just for him throwing the no-hitter against a pennant-winning team, but just the whole team. I mean, you're looking at in this particular game, some of the plays behind him were made by Campaneris and Tennis and Bando a couple. Just showed him what was coming with the A's. And in 71, they did break through. And then, of course, 72, they start their run of 3 straight titles. But to see Vida Blue in those days was really, really special. He was just a shining light, a tremendous interview, out of nowhere, and absolutely for real.
I loved him. What a pleasure. We lost him a couple of years ago, but 1970 and then 1971, he was the best pitcher on the planet. And,
one other quick thing about that game, the last hitter he faced, Cesar Tovar. And what does that mean? This is the guy who had the only hit in 5 different one-hitters by opposing pitchers. He broke up a couple of them in the ninth, McNally and Cuellar. He was the king of breaking up the no-hitters, but he grounded out to Don Mincher, I think, to end it.
Well, I love it. All right, good note for you and I. We're going to do the show next year. KNBR will do the show, same time, same format, leading into Kerry Crowley. So we're back next year. Had a nice chat with Mike Holler about it.
Oh, that's such great news. You know, I absolutely love doing this. It really keeps me current. You know, I'm more current than ever. I'm taping 900 games a day, and just I really want to be sharp when I come on with you. I don't want anything to get past me. And I love following the pennant race. I'm retired, but I'm still so into the game. Nothing can spoil it, no matter what rules they put in. But coming on with you is a treat, and I'm sure everyone around the show feels that way. And I highly recommend the film, The Baseball Mensch, that's about your story when it becomes available to the public. I shouldn't say that because I make a cameo appearance in it, but I mean it overrides that, believe me.
Well, it'll be at the Vogue September 27th at 7
there
p.m. For the second screening. But, I'm thrilled to be back with you next year and with Woe and Mark Simon and Glenn Kuiper. So that's going to be fun. But good stuff. Have a great day, and I'll see you at the park. Thanks, Bruce.
Sounds great, Marty. Thanks a million.
All right. Have a good day. All right. Mark Simon next right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans, it's great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. We're joined by Grant Power, the president and CEO of Nations. Grant, a quick question for you. What do you like for breakfast when you go to Nations?
My choice, I go with the two-egger, and I either go super crispy bacon or I go wild salmon. I substitute that in. I love both of those meat choices. I'm pretty much 50-50 on both of those. And then I go over medium on my eggs, and I ask for chopped onions on top of those. And then again, 50-50, I go either French toast substitute or I go hash browns and toast. And if I go hash browns and toast, I almost always pick English muffin as my bread. Definitely do coffee, definitely do orange juice, and I'm always filled up. I usually don't need anything until a late lunch, and there are lots of wonderful breakfasts, but that's my top choice.
Well, I love it. All right, Grant, you're making me hungry. Thanks for being on. We'll talk to you again.
Always a privilege. You take care, Marty.
That's Grant Power, President, CEO of Nations. Fans, I'm coming up to the Bay Area to see some Giants baseball. It also means I'm going to see Sonny from A&H Transportation. A&H Transportation, the East Bay's finest, serving the Bay Area since 2007. If you need to be picked up at the airport, it's 24/7. Taken to the airport, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. Whether it's wine tours, concerts, game events, medical appointments, Sonny and A&H Transportation will take care of you just as family would. Give them a call, 925-200-2824. You can check them out on the web, ah4limo.com. Email them, ah4limo@ah4limo.net. Sonny, I'll see you soon.
KNBR's Giants pregame continues on the Sports Leader.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
Fans, it's great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball game 4 between the Giants and the Dodgers. Don't forget, if you want to get involved with our contest, guess the score of the game and win dinner for 2 at Original Joe's in North Beach, West Lake, West Portal, or in Walnut Creek. All you have to do is guess the score of the game and tweet it in at Baseball Marty on Twitter. So I'll make it real simple. All right. Mark Simon joins us. You know the music. You know the Mets are coming back. Jerry Seinfeld is very happy. And we're happy to have Mark with us, of course, of Sports Info Solutions. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter. Mark, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. They weren't very happy on Saturday. They had a rather challenging defeat, losing on an inside-the-park home run in extra innings, a rarity in Mets history, a difficult one. They've had some good this week. Saturday made people a little nervous because Cincinnati cut it to a game, and Cincinnati holds the tiebreaker. And I guess the Diamondbacks are still in this thing too.
Yeah, it's as I said to you last Sunday, what a difference a week will make. And certainly we're talking this week, the Giants were embarking on the road trip into Arizona, where they ended up losing 2 of 3, and Verlander pitched the great game. We should talk about him a little bit for what he's accomplished with the Giants this year. And then it was on to the Los Angeles now, where they've lost 3 in a row before today's game. Now on Sunday, they've got to face Emmett Sheehan. So much happened in the week because the Mets took 2 or 3 from the Padres. But I did say Washington would be a pain in the neck.
And they were.
About that ball club, and that series is 1-1. So let's do a little bit of a review of the week for the Giants, the week that almost was, that's now turned into 3 losses in LA and 2 of 3 in Arizona. So that's 1-5 on the trip, which just about has cooked their goose, as they like to say. So go ahead.
It did. And if you remember last week, I was very apologetic. I was very kind, I think, to the Giants. I saw a tweet came through that indicated that they were glad to see me eat some humble. I think that the thing that I remember saying, though, was now comes the hard part. And they failed the hard part, like almost completely. They lost the games in Arizona. They lost a game that they could have won. That they lost in a strange way with the walk off. They did win one, but they're not a match for the Dodgers, and they weren't a match for the Padres either. And in the end, that's going to be what sinks them, is that the 2 really good teams have dominated them this year. And you said it, Verlander pitched great. Like his last 4 or 5 make you think, oh, he can pitch next year. He'll be really good. He's still got something left. But the rest of the team, the offense, I do want to say this. The offense for 3/4 of the season was really challenged in a lot of ways. And then for a very glorious, 25 games or so, it was great. It was fantastic. It was as good as it gets. And then they ran into this last week. They ran into some really good pitching, and they couldn't hit.
Yeah, Zach Allen gave him trouble again, and Zach Allen won on Saturday again, beating the Phillies. Yeah, they ran into some... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and Fott
pitched great, 1 hitter for 9 innings, but Verlander matched him. And, it's funny, when I was there and watching the games, I was in Arizona watching the games, and when the Giants wiggled out of trouble, and I said, boy, Arizona's got a chance, and Arizona didn't cash in. And I said, boy, this is the old Giants again. This is what the beginning of the season was like. They always made the big pitch. They got the out with the runner in scoring position, and they just couldn't get the runs. They couldn't put the runs across until the Wednesday game that ended up in the 11th inning, where Arizona had chances to win that game. And then did win it, and the Giants busted it open on Wednesday. But I was looking at some of the hitters and looking at the slumps of Adames, Chapman, Devers. My goodness, until Saturday night, until the home run, we golfed off the ground, something like 5 for 40. You look at Gilbert, the kid, and he's learning. What do you expect? He's hitting about 200. But Lee has been in a slump. He was 0 for 20. Ramos was like 5 for 37 or something like that. And as I said, Casey Schmidt too. So it's the whole team sort of went south hitting-wise. And the trades didn't help either. Losing their bullpen, that it was such a strength for him. And you could just tell now when Bob Melvin's got to go to the bullpen, he doesn't go with that same authority that he went earlier.
Yeah, it kind of is. They are what they are at this point. They were not expected to be a dominant 90-win team. They were a team where you kind of figured that the best case was like 85, and they're at 76 now with 6 or 7 to go. So they've underachieved a little bit. And Devers has really been this. He's like a bellwether player. When he's gone well, the Giants were hitting the heck out of it for that 3-week stretch. But if you look at the rest of it, he's not. When he doesn't get it done, I don't want to say they're a 0, but they're a real struggle. Because if he doesn't get it done, Chapman has to, and Chapman had this big slump with runners in scoring position for a while. They're a bat or 2 short, I think, in the end.
Yeah, let's talk about Devers just a little bit. And when he's hot, he can carry the team, which we saw him do when they won the 14 of 17, whatever it was, to get everybody excited.
He was on fire, and so was Adames. But, I watched him on Saturday night, and that fastball, and they faced some good fastballs. Let's face it, there's some guys come out in it. Will Klein, who is he? They come out, they come out of nowhere, and they're throwing 101. But what I saw with Devers was he recognized the 100, and by the time he could pull the trigger, the ball was past him. And I just wonder if that's Devers or just the idea of, hey, it's tough to hit 100.
Yeah, well, I think in fairness that it is tough to hit 100, especially remember that he's playing through an injury. If you look at the net value, like there are these stats now that look at production on the whole, meaning did you hit for damage, and did you avoid strikes and essentially and get balls. And his numbers against the four seam are still really good. They're not what they were last year with the Red Sox, but they're still good numbers. They're just not super dominant. Like you look at the guys like Aaron Judge or Ohtani, or the real dominant hitters are hitting like 330, 340 against four seams, slugging 500, 550. Devers is like 240s and 470s. So I think you're on it. He has a very high whiff against the four seam, which is essentially what you were just talking about. When he's able to make contact, he hits it hard. But there is a lot of whiff in his game, more so than some of the superstar players that are out there. So he's got to hit better than 240 against the four seam to be a really good player.
We talked about pitching, and we mentioned Verlander. Give me your thought on Verlander. Really, when you look at his last 6 starts or so, before you know it, it's the 6th inning, and he hasn't given up a run. Now, they may not have scored a run for him, but he hasn't given up a run. And I want to talk about Verlander a little bit, your impression of him, especially next year, and being in Dodger Stadium, watching the send-off for Kershaw. I almost said to myself, boy, Verlander's getting a good look at what it could look like when things go well. So let's talk a little bit about Verlander, and then let's talk Kershaw and where he fits in. Your thoughts in the pitching hierarchy, because you look at the numbers. Is this better than Whitey Ford? Is this better than the great Spud Chandler, with these winning percentages? And let's see what Kershaw meant to you, and let's talk Verlander also.
All right. So first off, Verlander. I was wrong on this signing. I thought that that he was toast early. I was very skeptical when they got him to begin with, and he's proven me wrong. He's added the sweeper, which he doesn't necessarily throw a lot, but it's become this really nasty pitch for him that gets outs and never, ever, ever gives up a hit, which is really impressive. I think if he wants to pitch next year, he will probably be able to find a home. I don't know that he'll be able to make a ton of money, but I think if he wants to, he will have the opportunity. Or he can say, hey, I went out with my very best effort, and I'm just going to accept that. But if he wants to, I think he can pitch again. Kershaw. 222 and 96, 2.5 ERA. That's fantastic. That's like, I guess, like I always feel weird as a 50-year-old bringing up guys from 90, 100 years ago, but that's like Lefty Grove. Like he's Lefty Grove of his time. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. I think that's a fairly easy one. I think by the advanced stats that compare across eras, like his ERA compares with just about anyone since 1920, like literally anyone that's pitched even like 1,000 innings. It's like him, Pedro Martinez, Mariano Rivera are like the signature pitchers. I think that he didn't have a lot left the last 2 years, clearly, but he is certainly an all-time great. I think it's very reasonable to say that.
Yeah, the numbers say it, especially over 200 wins and less than 100 losses. That one got me when I saw that. But his postseason work, especially against the Cardinals, who just lit him up just about every postseason, that postseason work sort of is a little bit of that little bit of the red flag. Is he really Lefty Grove? You know what I mean?
Sure. Yes. So, in fairness to him, though, he's made 32 postseason starts, and there were good ones in there. There just happened to be some bad ones too. Um, I guess if you want to ding him for something, it certainly is that. But like, go back to the Rays World Series. He went 2-0 in that World Series, and struck out more than a batter an inning. He was very good there. He's had series. He had a game against the Braves, 8 innings, no runs, 2 hits in the postseason. He beat the Mets in 2015. It's not like he's 6-20 or 6-15 or whatever. He's 13-13. It's not. He's not great. A lot of home runs. That's what's done him in. Home runs, much more so than the regular season. But to me, that doesn't. That's just kind of like a check mark in the against column, but not one that seriously damages his legacy to me, at least.
No, I guess for me, it was the games they needed to win.
Yep.
They needed him. And those are the games he got lit up. And I think that's what I seem to remember about him. But great career. And he owned the Giants for many, many years. And they're very happy to see him go.
He hitters, too. Brandon Belt, very happy.
Yeah. No, Belt was like 4 for 50 or something ridiculous.
I think. It wasn't just him. I think it was like Andres Torres, too. And Buster only hit like 210 against him. Yeah, it's a lot of guys were left wanting to break their bats.
Well, let's talk also Phillies, Dodgers. How are the Brewers doing? Are they okay going in? The kid doesn't seem to be doing as well as he was doing early, Mizorowski. So what do you feel as this thing starts to line up? By the time we talk next week, I think it will be well lined up.
So I'm going to make a prediction that goes off the board of what you were talking about here. I think the thing that we're going to be talking about on Sunday is Hunter Green going on 3 days rest to try and put the Reds into the playoffs. I think that's my prediction for Sunday. I think the Brewers, I've never thought the Brewers were like this super dominant team. They certainly, I don't feel like they are any sort of favorite to win the World Series. I think that the Dodgers will match up fine with them. When push comes to shove, Milwaukee just doesn't have the dominant players that the Brewers have. I think the Brewers are all right. I think the Phillies are mostly okay going into postseason. Yes, they don't have Zach Wheeler, but they straightened things out after that really bad Mets series, and they do have. If they're in a best of 3, they can certainly throw out 3 starting pitchers where they're going to be really solid. At the beginning of the game. They've got a great guy at the end of the game, and they've got David Robertson. And I think they're going to be all right. I'm not. It's funny. I picked the Cubs to win the World Series. I guess I'm not this high on them right now. I will say, like, I guess the Dodgers are the favorite in the National League to me, but it would not shock me if any of the Padres, Cubs, Phillies, Brewers made it through, because in the postseason, small sample, anything can happen.
Yeah, especially the bullpens. You get that hot bullpen, and things. You win a game, and it's a short series.
Or you manage a game. I feel like I've seen a lot of postseason games where a team managed itself out of a game by doing something that it hadn't done the whole year and trying to experiment with starting pitchers in the bullpen. Weird things happen.
Well, the guy we're going to see today for the Dodgers, Sheehan, they're talking about putting him in the bullpen. Let's talk about Sheehan, since we will see him today against Trevor McDonald for the Giants.
Yeah, he's been very good for them of late. He had a start where he allowed 1 hit recently, which the Giants are certainly very familiar with. And he throws a really nasty slider. It doesn't have a lot of horizontal to it, but it drops, and it's very difficult to hit. He also has a good changeup that makes left-handed hitters struggle a little. Left-handers don't have a great batting average against him. I know they like. I feel like at some point in the postseason, he probably starts a playoff game, and they find a way to get him in because he's been too good. But yeah, he could be a valuable weapon in the bullpen as well.
Well, I'll give you the one stat for me. As a reliever, he's faced 45 batters.
He's given up 4 hits.
Whoa.
As
There
a
you go.
reliever. Yeah, so for me, he's a natural to go into the bullpen because he's done it before and he's been untouchable. He's got good stuff, and the Giants get to see him for the second time. He went 4 innings against them the first time with 6 hits, a couple of runs, something like that. Actually, a couple of hits, 4 2/3, just 2 hits, a run, and no homers. So they've seen him before. The only guy I think is Ramos. He may have a hit against him, and that may be about it. So, well, anything about Trevor McDonald? I get to see him pitch a little bit for Arizona, against Arizona. He looked really good in the first inning. He pitched, and then the second inning, it kind of came apart, but it wasn't completely all his doing. I thought he threw hard.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have a good handle on him. He had a 5.30 ERA at AAA. I don't like that's in a league. He was essentially a league average pitcher in AAA. He's their 18th ranked prospect. He strikes out a batter an inning in the minor leagues, which a lot of guys are doing. He's not necessarily super highly thought of prospect wise. He was an 11th round pick. And yeah, based on our smallest of small samples, he did look pretty good for 90 seconds or so.
Yeah, for the 1 inning, he looked okay. The other excitement in the Arizona series and part of the Dodgers series, and of course, Saturday night, he drove in 3 runs in the first inning, was Bryce Eldridge. And pitchers are showing him a lot of respect. They are not throwing him fastballs. It's all off-speed stuff to him. And he looks like Brandon Belt, who's been stretched. That's what he looks like to me. I mean, I've never seen a guy take up so much space on the TV camera than this guy at the plate. He's a big guy, but the interesting thing I want to note is how he's being pitched. He's just a 20-year-old. They're not throwing him fastballs.
Yeah, I know exactly why on that. If you go to his numbers in the minor leagues, he had massive swing and miss against breaking balls. He's going to have to figure that out, and he might. I presume they want him to start the season next year in the majors, but he's either going to have to figure that out on the fly, or he might wind up back in the minor leagues. Because that was the one thing in like researching him for the guys on the air. That jumped off the page very largely is that he has massive swing and miss issues against breaking balls.
Yep. Zach Gallen gave him 4 right away the first time he saw him in Arizona. All right, well, Mark Simon with us. Let's finish it with this one. Will the Mets hang on?
I thought I made the prediction. I said,
are you going to be happy next Sunday, or how are you going to feel? You know, they go on the road. They've got the worst road record in baseball. You know that.
They struggle. Yes, I will remind you that I am a something closer to agnostic these days as someone who's in the media. But I think that the Reds only need to make up 1 game. They're going to be playing the Pirates during the week while the Mets are playing the Cubs. That doesn't bode well for the Mets. And then they close with a Brewer team that's not going to care, while the Mets close with a Marlins team that, as you said about the Nationals, could certainly give them a lot of trouble in the final 3 days of the season. I think that on Sunday, Hunter Green, we'll be talking about whether Hunter Green should be pitching on Sunday on 3 days rest, or however they set it up. Maybe he'll be pitching on 4 somehow. But yeah, I think we'll be talking about that to close the season.
All right. I thought these last 6 that the Giants had in their back pocket against St. Louis and the Rockies would come into play, but unfortunately, this road trip has done them in as they face today's game against Emmett Sheehan and the Dodgers. I guess it'd be nice to get out of there with 1 win. Well, I'll tell you, Mark, and we've done this for a few years now, and I love talking to you, and the fans love it, and the fans know you're all Mets. Believe me, you know that. But I'll tell you, this Ohtani is something else. He is something else to watch him.
One of a kind.
Take that outside pitch and just flick it right out of the stadium. Isn't that something?
Yes, he's like, I don't think I've had an instance where I was standing anywhere near him. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely haven't. But just the look of him reminds me of like the biggest guys that are just like they're like granite. Yeah, he's massively strong. Like I was thinking Frank Thomas, but he's a little better shaped than Frank Thomas, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the MVP for me. I was all Schwarber. I was all in on Schwarber, believe me. But no, I've seen enough of Ohtani now. He is the Dodgers. Yeah. All right. Great to have you with us. Enjoy the week, and we'll talk next Sunday. And look, in a way, I hope you're right. I hope it is Hunter Green and the Mets going down to Sunday. That'd be good for baseball. But thank you, Mark.
Sure.
All right. That is Mark Simon. Giants warm-up coming up next right here. KNBR 680, 104.5, the sports leader.
Once upon a time, there lived 3 energy hogs. Now, an energy hog is what you have when humans waste energy. One day, the 3 energy hogs set out to find themselves a cottage.
Let's look for leaky windows,
Said the first energy hog, for he knew that would waste energy.
Let's look for leaky doors,
Said the second.
Let's look for a swing set,
Said the third, for he had more blubber than brains. So they set off down the road. Presently, they came upon a tiny cottage where dwelled a clever girl named Dreadylocks.
I hope it has leaky windows,
cried the first energy hog.
I hope it has leaky doors,
cried the second.
I hope it has a bathroom,
cried the third, for only his brains were smaller than his bladder. But Dreadylocks liked playing cool games at energyhog.org, and from energyhog.org she learned how to use energy wisely. So the 3 energy hogs were forced to look elsewhere to waste energy, and had to use the disgusting restroom at the gas station down the road. And the moral of the story is, to use energy wisely, log on to energyhog.org, or waste not, hog not.
This public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Support our troops. We hear it practically every day. We read it in the papers, in yard signs, on bumper stickers. It's something we all agree on. Whenever and wherever the men and women of our armed forces are called, we send our support with them. It's something we all do. And supporting the USO is how it's done. For more than 60 years, the USO has tirelessly maintained a bridge back home for our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen around the world who fight to preserve the freedoms we hold so dear. The USO receives no government funding. It employs only private citizens and volunteers and depends entirely on the generosity of the American people to fulfill its mission. Help us support our troops. To find out more about the USO and how you can help, call us at 888-USO-5566 or visit our website at uso.org.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one, deep right field.
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warmup.
Way back there. Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
Welcome into a Sunday edition of the KNBR Warm-Up Show. My name is Bill Laskey. I'll be hosting the show here as we get you ready for the final game of a four-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it just has not been going well for the Orange and Black as they have dropped the first three games of this four-game series, and the road trip has even got worse. They're 1-5 on the road trip, only winning one game, the third game against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and you can even go farther back, all the way back to last weekend, and of course Friday, Patrick Bailey with that grand slam in extra innings, but then they lose the last two to the Dodgers, and now the Giants have lost 7 games out of 8. They're 1-7. A difficult time of the year to do that, especially when they're trying to catch the New York Mets in the wild card position. And now the New York Mets are 80-75. They lost yesterday to the Nationals. The Reds won, and the Diamondbacks won. The Reds are now 1 game out. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 2 games out. And the San Francisco Giants are 4 games out with a tiebreaker, and that'll be 5. And it's just counting down to only 6 games left after today for the San Francisco Giants 2025 season to be complete. It's just been a tough road, this road trip, and we saw it coming. Once the homestand got over, we were looking at Arizona as well as the Dodgers in playoff contention, and of course the Dodgers are now in the playoffs for their 13th consecutive season, and they're still chasing the NL West crown. But today is going to be a different type of game. Trevor McDonald, a rookie, got in the game last year, the last game of the year, to be a matter of fact. He pitched 3 innings against the Cardinals. He got called up September 29th, and he threw well. He threw 3 innings, 1 K, 1 walk, no hits. And then he started the year in AAA. And this year he was 9-9 with a 5.31 earned run average. He had pitched in 29 games, 24 starts, 142 innings. He pitched for the River Cats, 144 hits, 84 earned runs, giving up 22 home runs. That's a big number, but again, it's the Pacific Coast League. The ball does fly. The number that's impressing me is 144 strikeouts, 62 walks. So he's going to get his first big league start. He came up last week, September 16th, when he pitched against the Arizona Cardinals. Pitched 2 innings. The first inning went well. The second inning gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. He gave up the lead. The Giants were winning 5-3 and ended up getting the tie. He was 5-5. He gave up those 2 runs. Perdomo got a walk. Marte got a base hit. And Carroll ended up getting a base hit. Both runs were tacked to him. But today he gets that start against, oh boy, the L.A. Dodgers. And boy, what can you say about the L.A. Dodgers? The last 2 games, 7 home runs the Dodgers have hit. They've hit 232 home runs this year, 232. And they've scored 793 runs, 793, the best in Major League Baseball. A team batting average of 254, 760 RBIs. And boy, it takes off right off the start with Shohei Ohtani. And boy, what a year he's having. Hit his 53rd home run yesterday, hit his 52nd home run on Friday, and he's lights out. Goes the opposite way to left field extremely well, pulls the ball, and his numbers are just fantastic once again, hitting 285. Of course, 99 home RBIs on the season, 53 home runs. And it just doesn't stop there when you start looking at Mookie Betts with 20 home runs, Freddie Freeman with 21 home runs, Max Muncy with 19 home runs, Teoscar Hernandez, 24 home runs, and even the number 7 hitter, Andy Pages, has 25 home runs. So this team is gelled for the playoffs, and their offense just keeps coming at you. Yesterday, the Giants scored 4 runs in the first inning. Really got to Tyler Glasnow. And right in the bottom of the first inning, Kaiwei Tang ends up hitting Freddie Freeman on an 0-2 sweeper in his foot, goes 2-0 on Max Muncy, and Muncy hits his 19th home run. A 2-0 fastball up and away, hit a 385, and the deficit was right down at 4-2. And then it continued right after that. In the fourth inning, another home run by Michael Conforto. Boy, he just kills the Giants ever since he's put a Dodger uniform, his 12th of the year. Another home run in the fifth inning by Tommy Edman. That one hit the foul pole down the third baseline. And it continued on in the 6th inning when Shohei Ohtani hit his 53rd home run in the 6th inning. So those were the 4 home runs that really was a backbreaker for the San Francisco Giants. And Giants ended up scoring one more run in the 7th inning when Rafael Devers hit his 32nd home run, a 1-2 split, and he knocked it out of the ballpark, really hit the ball well. And he's got, when you're looking at his numbers, 32 home runs. He's got 17 with the Giants. His numbers are still good at 32 home runs, 105 RBIs. But the number that's really, really hurting Devers, he's 1 for 29 against the Los Angeles Dodgers this year, and that one hit was the home run he had yesterday. So you got to turn the page. The Giants are 3-9 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. When you look at the NL West, they really have not played well against the National League West. When you look at the Dodgers at 3-9, the San Diego Padres 3-10, and the Arizona Diamondbacks 6-7. So all your 3 top teams, they couldn't even play 500 ball with. The only team that they beat, the Colorado Rockies. They're 8-2 against them, and they have 3 to end the season. 20-28 against the National League West. And that is a huge deficit when you're trying to contend with the teams in your own division. And I think that's one big thing Buster Posey and Bob Melvin will look at going into the 2026 season, how they can compete against the NL West. Lineups are just coming in now, so we'll take a quick break. Dave Tobner is going to join me from the SF Gate. He's a reporter for them. A couple other good interviews coming up. Terry Whitfield, of course, ex-player of mine, a teammate. He also played with the Dodgers at the end of his career, so I get his take on the Giants and the Dodgers, playing in both uniforms. And then I bring in the Willie Mack Award winner, Larry Herndon. What a great guy he is. Good friend of mine, and we really talk a lot of baseball, hitting, as well as what the Willie Mack Award means to him. And my final interview today is Kirk Reeder, Woody. What a great, great guy he is, and we have a lot of laughs as I bring up some statistics that he didn't even know about in his career. So that's all coming up on the warm-up show. And I'll also be doing the extra inning post-game show following the game today. 2 good interviews on that one. Steve Garvey joins me for a few minutes. Of course, the big Dodger first baseman, all-star, Gold Glove winner. Just a good, fabulous interview. And then I talked to my ex-teammate, Gary Lavelle. Boy, what a good guy he is. A couple all-stars. And we talk and reminisce about the Giants and the Dodgers rivalry. So all good shows today on the warm-up show and then following up on the extra inning post-game show. My name's Bill Laskey. I'll be hosting this show and as well as a post-game show. So we'll take a quick break, come back with Dave Tobner as we talk more Giants, getting you ready for that final game in L.A. with the San Francisco Giants right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Giants fans, first pitch isn't too far away as KNBR's Giants warm-up continues on the sports leader.
Welcome back to the warm-up show with Bill Laskey as the Giants finish out their road trip and finish out their away games as they finish up the season and for the 2025 campaign. And not good numbers on the road. They finished up at, right now, 38 wins, 42 losses with one more game left, so they won't be able to hit 500. They were playing very well on the road at one time. This road trip, again, 1-5, taking one game out of the Arizona Diamondbacks and losing their first three here in Dodger Stadium. Joining me now, he writes for the SF Gate, does a great job over there. Let's bring in Dave Tobner. Morning, Dave. How are you?
Doing good, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Let's talk about this Giants team on this road trip. Really hit a lull here, and it really happened last week when they lost 2 to the Dodgers on Saturday and Sunday on some big scores. They went into Arizona, dropped the first 2, won Wednesday. What have you seen out of this team? Is it offense? Is it pitching? Is it both?
It seems like it's both. They just seem to have hit a wall. That run they had to get back into it, I don't know if it just took too much out of them. That the hole they dug themselves over the summer was just so big. It was going to take a massive undertaking to get out of it, and they almost did. And then, right when they're on the precipice there, they kind of fell apart. Nobody's hitting. The pitching staff has been kind of held together by Scotch tape, and they're falling apart. So, before it hasn't been both at the same time this year. It seems like they've either gotten pitching and no hitting, or when the hitting starts, the pitching goes, and now it just seems both are going. And it's just been, it's the end of the season, unfortunately for them. But I mean, it's that run they had, I think, just took too much out of them.
Dave, going into yesterday's game, they just couldn't hit at all. They were hitting under 120 as a team going into yesterday's game. They scored 4 in the first inning. But I think what's happening here is the strikeouts are coming back. They had 14 strikeouts on Thursday, 14 on Friday, and 12 again yesterday. 40 strikeouts. When you're looking at 3 games, that's 27 innings. You're talking a strikeout or more per inning.
Yeah, and when it really shows itself that their lineup is really dependent on the home run. Because when those guys aren't hitting, it's like they're swinging for the fences and they're striking out. They're not making contact. They're not putting the ball in play. They just don't have that kind of lineup. So when, they're a streaky offense, they're streaky hitters. And when they all go cold, there's just no way to manufacture runs. Like you said, it's just strikeouts or nothing. And it's unfortunate that it's all kind of falling down on them right now. But it's really shining a light on the problems of the lineup. They got a lot of power. They've got guys that can hit 25, 30 home runs, but they don't have a lot of guys that can help manufacture runs. And when the power bats go cold, that's what you have to do, and the Giants just aren't capable of that.
That voice you hear in the warm-up show is Dave Tomer. You can read his work at SF Gate, covers a lot of sports and does a great job over there. We're talking home runs, boy. The Dodgers had 7 home runs the last 2 games, really came out of their shoes on a couple of them. And you talk about a team that's hit 232 home runs, Dave, and on top of that, 793 runs. This team is totally ready for the playoffs on the offensive side. The pitching side, I think, is going to be the question mark out of the bullpen, but you might have a couple starters jump down there to give them a little more strength. But this offense team, they just keep coming at you.
Oh, they're relentless. I mean, and like you said, their bullpen is their biggest issue, but when you have a rotation like they do, you can just, like you said, slide guys down there to give them some help, but they're never out of any game. They can be down, 4-0 in the first inning yesterday, and they made it disappear like nothing. It's a nice thing to have when you have an offense like that. I mean, they spend the money, and this is what they spend it for. They're not out of any game. I know their record might not reflect it, but to me, they're the best team in the National League. And, I have to think they're the odds-on favorite to win, unfortunately. But, it just, the gap between the Giants and the Dodgers, it's wide. It might have gotten a little smaller this year, but it's these last 6 games and the 7th game today against them, it's really, really shown just how much ground the Giants have to make up to catch these guys. And it's a very, very wide gap.
Dave, I mentioned it on the Open when you're looking at the contending teams in the NL West. Your division. They're 3-9 against the Dodgers, and they have one more game left today. 3-10 against the Padres, and then 6-7 against the Diamondbacks. So those are your top three teams, and they didn't even finish 500. And you're looking at 3-10 against San Diego. With you looking at a win here, it could be 4-9. If a loss, it'd be 3-10 also. You just mentioned that the gap is getting bigger and wider. What can the Giants do next year to try to compete in this NL West?
You know, Adames, Devers, those guys, those were big. You know, the Giants have lacked power for so long. To have two legitimate guys that can kind of hold down the middle of the order is a big thing. But like I mentioned, you know, they don't have a lot of team speed. Like the Diamondbacks make them look like a bunch of, you know, senior citizens out there. The way they play, the Diamondbacks have three center fielders in their outfield. They cover so much ground. You know, that might be something the Giants can look to. You know, both corner outfield spots are something that might have to be upgraded as far as getting speed, as far as getting more coverage out there. Just more contact guys. You know, there's not a lot of spots in the lineup that are open. You know, second base maybe, although Schmidt has looked like he might be the guy for that job. Both corner outfield spots, if they decide, you know, Ramos has his moments, but if they're going to move anybody, he might be the one that they consider moving for pitching or something like that. And then you can have, you know, right field, left field to try and figure out how to make your lineup a little bit more dynamic and, you know, play a little bit more to your strengths at your home ballpark to kind of take advantage of it like the Giants used to.
Well, Dave, you know, out of spring training, Bob Melvin talked about speed. He wanted to have more stolen bases. He wanted to put more hit and runs on. But, you know, when you look at the numbers, the Giants have 66 stolen bases. They're 29th out of 30 teams. The Detroit Tigers are last with 59. And you talk about the Dodgers, they're at 86, and that's not even a big number. But this is what some things that the Giants have done in recent years. They just don't steal bags. They don't even make an attempt to it. You talked about it a minute ago. This team has to get better on the base path.
Yeah, they're very station to station. You know, they don't make a lot happen on the base path. They don't force their opposition to respect them on the base path. There's nothing to be worried about. And you know, it's kind of a lost art, the stolen base. It's kind of lost its luster over the years in baseball, but there's still a place for it. And you know, the Giants consistently rank near the bottom, and they just don't have the guys that can do it. And whether that's an organizational philosophy, whether it's just a product of the guys they've been able to bring in, you know, it's hard to say, but it's something that they should consider. I mean, I'm not saying they have to go get two guys that are going to steal 50 bases each, but it'd be nice to have somebody on the base paths that might make the opposing pitcher think like, well, I've got to keep an eye on him. And, you know, I've put a little fear into these guys. It's just not something they can do. It's something they lack. And I think that's something they should really try to rectify this winter as much as they can.
Dave Tomner joining me on the Giants warm-up show on KNBR. You can read his work at SF Gate. We talk about additions. We talk about some young players. Bryce Eldridge getting his first hit yesterday, a double in the first inning, got 3 RBIs. And also Drew Gilbert, a very good defensive outfield. But, boy, his hitting has just gone south, striking out a few times, only hitting .202 now. Both of them are getting playing time now. I think that's what Bob Melvin and Buster Posey wants to see out of them, and getting some experience at the big league level. I know you're a big Bryce Eldridge fan. What'd you think of that hit yesterday?
Oh, it was great. I mean, he should have had, 2 home runs in that Arizona series,
yeah.
Just the way he hit the ball. I mean, he's looked pretty comfortable. You know, it's hard to draw conclusions just on a small sample size like that, but he hasn't looked, you know, totally out of place. He looks like he's comfortable up there. He's having good at bats. He's making good contact with the ball. Gives you a lot of hope that he can just kind of slide in, make the team out of spring next year, and give them, you know, another guy in the middle of the lineup. It's exciting. You know, the Giants haven't had a real true hitting prospect like that in a long time. You know, Ramos and Matos and guys like that were their own kind of prospects, but nothing like Eldridge. You know, not a guy who's a top 15 major league prospect. You know, you want to see a guy like that come up and succeed, and he hasn't shown that he's too far out of his depth yet, which is exciting. He looks like he's adapting really well.
Yeah, looking at the lineups today just now, Dave, and it looks like Bryce Eldridge is going to play first base today, and Rafael Devers will DH. I haven't talked about the starting lineup yet, but I just looked at it. So he's going to get his first opportunity on the defensive side playing first base today. That'll be exciting to watch.
Yeah, I always got the impression the Giants weren't too keen on bringing up prospects to DH, so it'd be nice to see him get some time there. Whether or not he can, eventually move to an outfield spot maybe, or play first base, because Devers likes to play defense too. It's good to see him get out there and see how he handles it. So that's interesting. I haven't seen that lineup yet, so that's really, really interesting.
Getting back to Drew Gilbert, a fantastic outfielder. He's really shown a lot of potential playing center field, made some great plays in Arizona, playing the corners also. Strong arm, sometimes a little bit too strong as he missed the cutoff man. But the offensive side, swinging on a lot of balls out of the zone. You and I have talked about this many times in interviews about young players getting aggressive and not watching the ball in. That's one thing I think I'm watching him as he's trying to get the ball in play, but he's swinging at a lot of balls out of the zone.
Yeah, he's, like you said, ultra aggressive. It's almost like he's out of his game a little bit. Like he's not. He's just trying to launch everything. And he's an excitable guy as we've seen, and he's got a lot of energy. And it's good to have a guy like that. But it'd be nice to see him kind of settle a little bit and see what he can do at the plate, to see if the Giants, what they have in him. Because the outfield is very unsettled next year. So if you can if you know that you have him coming in to take one of the outfield spots, that would be great. But he's just not showing it. And like you said, Bill, he's just a little too aggressive. Getting out ahead of himself a little too much, not taking walks. It's his energy is contagious, and I think he'll probably have a career because of that. Whether or not the Giants think he's an answer next year, I think that remains to be seen. But it'd be nice over this last week if he gives them a little bit, take advantage of the gaps at Oracle and run a little bit and see what he can do. But he's got another week to show some things. So hopefully he can kind of take advantage of that.
Dave Tobner from the SF Gate joining me for a few more minutes on the KNBR warm-up show. Well, today, as you said, they're lacking pitching. And today they're putting Trevor McDonald as a starter in there. He's only been in a couple games at the big league level. Came up last year, pitched the last game of the year against St. Louis. Threw the ball well, 3 innings, 1 K, 1 walk. Had an opportunity in Arizona, had a nice 1-2-3 clean inning. Then the second inning, he got 3 hits off him with a walk and ended up giving up the lead. But today he's got to go against the beast. He's got to go against one of the top-line offenses in Major League Baseball. He'll be a little nervous, no question about that, especially pitching in Los Angeles. But this is an open window for him to give them a little more look on him. Number 18 prospect for the Giants, throws the ball pretty good. But these are opportunities like we talk about Eldridge and Gilbert. Here's an opportunity for McDonald to possibly get some eyes on him for next year.
Sure, because the rotation is a big question mark next year too. You've got Webb will be there. They got Ray for another year. You expect Roop to be back healthy, but after that, it's completely wide open. I'm sure they'll try and add another veteran starter or two, but I mean, Wisenhunt, Birdsong, guys like that, McDonald, it's going to be completely wide open. So any positive light that you can have at the end of the year this year would be great, because it's just another thing that they have to worry about this winter. So if they have some internal options, I'm sure that would go a long way in kind of quelling some fears there. But the rotation, the bullpen, even if he shows enough that he could be considered for a long man out of the pen, or it would be great. But they have a lot of questions to answer with pitching. So any answers they can get over this last week is just a bonus.
It's going to be a big question when Justin Verlander sits down with Buster Posey and Bob Melvin and says, I want to come back, because the 42-year-old has pitched so well after the All-Star break, and he's been really the best pitcher for the Giants in the rotation. It's going to be an interesting question and answer period. Will the Giants sign him again for another 1-year contract? He said in a recent interview that nobody really knocked on the door, that Buster Posey was one of them that came and talked to him, and they did a 1-year contract of $15 million. It is going to be a question mark. Will they bring him back? Will they put more rookies in the rotation? And you and I both have said this many times. The 4th and 5th spot after Landon Roop got hurt, it's been a big Scotch tape holding this rotation on. Do you bring him back, Dave, or do you let him go, or maybe do something at a little less price?
It would be ideal if Wisenhunt and Birdsong were ready to take those spots, but they didn't show nearly enough this year to give them any kind of confidence that they can. If the price is right, Father Time is going to catch up to you eventually. And, Verlander in the beginning of the year, if you would have asked Giants fans if you wanted him back, I mean, it would have been 99-1. No, but I mean, like you said, he's become the ace of the staff in the second half. He's great. And, is that you would have expected the opposite to happen if he was going to look good. A 42-year-old getting stronger as the year goes on is not something that you expect. So, I think they'll look to it. From all indications, Verlander has enjoyed his time here. I think he feels respected by the organization. I think, playing for Buster Posey has its perks. So, if the price is right, I mean, even if it's for the same amount of money, what you get out of him is you can't really ask for more from a 4th and 5th starter. And what he brings as far as experience goes, what he brings as far as being able to mentor guys, that's the kind of stuff you don't really hear about. So, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back. I mean, if they can exhaust, I would prefer, a bigger name, a guy that, a little bit younger that maybe is going to be here for 4 or 5 years. But, if the market runs dry and the Giants stick with their MO of not giving out big money contracts to free agent pitchers, why not bring Verlander back?
Well, we'll find out tomorrow. He's got to start against the St. Louis Cardinals on Monday, and we'll find out if he continues his success. But, boy, he's been throwing the ball excellent. Well, Dave, thanks again for joining me. Maybe we'll give each other luck on this pregame show, because our postgame shows, it seems like we're always talking about losses. But, again, thanks for your morning, Dave.
Dad, maybe this is the way to go, Bill. Maybe this is the key. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good day, Dave. That was Dave Tomer from the SF Gate. Does a lot of good writing over there as a great reporter, and you can read him at SF Gate. All right, coming up next on the Giants Warm-Up Show, I sit down with Terry Whitfield, 10 years in Major League Baseball, played with the San Francisco Giants as well as the LA Dodgers, and in between there, he played in Japan for a few years. So coming up next, I sit down with Terry Whitfield. We talk rivalry. We talk about his career. That's all coming up next right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Our KNBR Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the sports leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR Warm-Up Show with Bill Laskey as we get you ready for that Dodger-Giant game. My guest today played 10 years in Major League Baseball, also 3 years in Japan. Good friend of mine. Let's bring in Terry Whitfield. Terry, how are you today?
I'm doing okay, Bill.
I appreciate Yeah, I'm doing fine. I appreciate your time. I wanted to just go back in time. You played for the San Francisco Giants as well as the Los Angeles Dodgers. The rivalry continues this weekend. How was it playing for both teams?
Well, when I got traded over here from the Yankees, it was a team that, just scrapping together guys at that time because Willie McCovey came back and you had Jack Clark, who, was really everybody was high on as far as playing, and Larry Herndon and guys like that, and Madlock, Bill Madlock, Darrell Evans. It was a good fit for me because it gave me a fresh start getting out of New York and playing with different guys. But I think the team turned around once we got by the blue in 1978. So that was a turning point for the Giants overall, I think, to their franchise.
Let's go back in time, Terry. You got drafted right out of high school in Blythe, California, Palo Verde High School. You were number one pick by the New York Yankees out of high school. Were you ready to jump into pro ball at that time? Did you know much about the Yankees because they were such a successful organization?
Well, if you knew where I was raised up at Blythe, you don't really get nothing down there. It's in the desert. So when I got drafted, everybody was like shocked. I was shocked. And, it was more scouts at our games than people viewing the game. So anyway, I was heavily recruited for football. Football was my better game. I had over 100 scholarships for football for different universities and college around the country. Basketball, I had maybe 2 scholarships. And track, I high jumped 6'9" in track, and I had 1 scholarship for track. But overall, I was surprised, and it was a chance for me to help out my parents as well as going to, my lifehood in baseball.
That voice you hear on the KNBR warm-up show, a forever Giant, Terry Whitfield. So you sign with the Yankees, you play for them for a few years. In 1977, you get traded to the San Francisco Giants, coming back to the West Coast. Excited? A little nervous? How was the anticipation on that trade?
Man, when they told me I was traded to the Giants, the first thought came in my mind was I'm going home because from Blythe to Arizona, we were a little by the border, so my parents would get to see me play all the time, and being home simply for spring training, it was you can ask for anything better. But the one thing is, anybody that get traded, you have a period of time that you go through knowing the personnel, knowing the people, in the training room, the coaches. And, I was fortunate because I played against Joe Altobelli back in Syracuse in the International League. So he was familiar with me. So it made it a little bit easier, but it takes time to make some adjustments to the team.
Terry, you played all the outfield positions, left field, center field, right field, mostly left field, 9 years of your career in left field. Was there a premier outfield spot that you liked playing? I mean, you had speed, you had an accurate arm. What was in the outfield position that you felt comfortable in?
It really didn't matter to me. Once when I first signed, they wanted me to be the center fielder. And, when I was going against Bobby Mercer, he really was really helpful as far as helping me understand the outfield, what the tips with some of the hitters and all that. Then Roy White was another guy who really helped me out. But I think overall, Bill Burton made me an outfielder that I was foolproof because he used to get out there and hit us line drives after line drives and, made us understand that there's balls that we thought we couldn't get at, but we could if we really read it and hustled to the ball. And I didn't really have a problem with any position as far as the outfield is concerned.
Terry Whitfield joined me on the KNBR Warmup Show. You talked a little bit about the outfield of Jack Clark, Billy North, Larry Herndon, yourself. Some good outfielders, and you were out there as a regular outfielder with them. What was it about that outfield? All three of you guys were quick. You had good reaction to the ball and pretty good at that time.
I think when 78 came around, when we had Jack Clark in right field, Larry in center, and I was in left, we had a mutual understanding among each other. We always took fly balls. I know Davenport, he used to hit me with fly balls every freaking day once we got in the candlestick to understand the elements and what the ball does in different times. And I think for that, every ballpark we went to, it was just that we had a better understanding. We go out there, hit ground balls, hit against the wall, and see how the ball react, and the position where you have to go through. So those are things that you practice, when you go off to different ballparks.
Now, when we dive into some numbers here, Terry, when you faced the Dodgers as a Giant, you hit 261, 3 home runs, 7 doubles, 12 RBIs. Now, when you were playing with the Dodgers facing the Giants, the numbers came down pretty quick. You only hit 207, 6 for 29. I guess you still had that orange and black blood running through you when you were in Dodger uniform.
Well, when I came back from Japan, my thing was to come back home, meaning coming back to the Giants. And at that time, Tom Holler asked me what I was coming back as. I said, "What you mean what I'm coming back as?" so anyway, he thought about me possibly going to AAA or trying out to make the team. I said, "What?" So anyway, I got a call from my agent who said, "Hey Terry, the Dodgers want you for 2 years. They want to guarantee the 2-year contract." Then later on, about a day or two later, they say, "Hey man, I don't know what these Dodgers want you for. They guarantee 3 more years, 3 years." So I had a 3-year contract, and all in the major league. So what you gonna do?
Yeah,
But,
you turned Dodger blue on us, is what you did, Terry.
No, I didn't turn Dodger blue. I came back from Japan for a reason. My grandmother at that time didn't have much time to live, and it was, since I'm from that area, it was an opportunity that I can be seeing her a little bit more. And fortunate for me, I was able to go down and visit her before she passed, and that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, sure did. Family means so much. Going back to some numbers here at Candlestick Park, you really hit the ball well. You lifetime 299, 39 doubles, 4 triples, 11 home runs. Dodger Stadium, a little different. You only hit 220 there with 8 home runs and 10 doubles. What was it about Candlestick Park that you liked hitting in there?
Well, Willie McCovey always told me, he said, "Terry, every player has to adjust to every ballpark. You're here, you understand the ballpark, and play as hard as you can. Sometimes you're going to hit a ball, you think it's going to be out, and it's going to blow out out the ballpark, which it did. And sometimes you're going to hit some balls really hard, they're going to catch. But you have to have a mental makeup to play in that ballpark and forget about everything else, So that's how I went about it. I worked very hard. Most of the time, Bill, I became a good hitter by pinch hitting, and that hurt me. So I played a lot, but there again, I didn't play as much as I should have.
Terry, looking at stats also of months that you were hot in, months that you were kind of cold in. The beginning of the year, it seemed like May was a down month, but then June you hit 293. But the month of August, you hit 320, 6 home runs, 28 RBIs. That's the money month. August and September are so key. What was it about the month of August? Was you seeing the ball better? Was it just starting to cool off a little bit more and maybe producing some bigger numbers? What was it the month of August that kept you going?
And that's the question I keep on trying to figure out. Now, as you build up during spring training, your awareness of everything, as far as for me, was key. Because when I went in a batter's box, it was just me and the ball. People used to ask me, "What pitch did you hit?" I said, I don't know. I hit the ball. Seriously. So as time went on, then I started recognizing pitches, the curveball and the slider and various pitches like that. But, my focus is so intense on hitting the ball, making good contact, that nothing else mattered.
Well, Terry, in 1982, you ended up going to Japan. You played there 3 years. You made the Pacific League All-Star team. You were also part of a Best Nine award. You won it twice. Journalists voted for it. It was the best position player in each position. 3 years in Japan, the numbers were outstanding. 272, 25 home runs in 82. In 83, 278, 38 home runs. What was it about Japan that just turned you on? Because those were fantastic years you had there. 3 years away from the United States.
Well, getting to play every day was the main factor. When you play every day, you know you're going to be in the lineup. So therefore, if you go 0 for 2, 0 for 3, or whatever, you know you're going to be in there the next day. There's times where when I was with the Giants, I would go 5 for 5. I remember we're in St. Louis. I went 5 for 5. The next day, I would go into Chicago. I was not playing. So the opportunity to play every day, you can refine your tune of your bat, and you don't have to worry. And that was the thing. The difference is, I was a very good two-strike hitter, and pinch hitting. They needed people that make contact or adapt to the situation where instead of trying to hit a home run, I hit a line drive to get the runner in instead of trying to hit a home run.
Terry Whitfield joined me for a few more minutes on the KNBR warm-up show. Japan was a whole different lifestyle. And again, I want to talk about the Best Nine award. Tell me a little bit about that award. You won it 2 years in a row.
Well, the Best Nine award is the best person in each position. The first year I won it, I played left field. The second year I won it, I played right field. So again, it goes back to my awareness and being prepared with the Yankees, because we always pride ourselves defensive when I was playing with the Yankees. And therefore, when I went to Japan, the manager I had was it was all about that too, because we had a practice. You ever heard of defense? So we had to go and practice running up the fence, jumping up, and catching the ball. There's some crazy things that we did, but again, if you look at it, the philosophical, you start understanding the little details that they did. And they ran us through, and it helped us win 2 championships.
Terry, as we finish up here, Giants-Dodgers rivalry, it continues. It always makes the fan base come out, supports the teams. When you look upon this all the way back in the 70s to now, it has changed a little bit. Players move around, but that rivalry still lives in the fan base. Why do you think that is?
The people are passionate up here. It's where you're at. I know when I played in New York, I still get letters from fans back there. They're passionate about their players, and they never forget. If you work hard, you played hard, and that was the main thing. When I played for the Dodgers, I said, dang it. You go eat in spring training, you eat, and the umpires are eating with you. I said, I got pissed off. Umpires are fair. Don't get me wrong. They call the ball strike. But in my mind, I've said, you son of a gun, the call you had when I was with the Giants now it's changed.
A little different.
Yeah, a little different. But anyway, I just feel that that's always going to be there. I've been fortunate enough to play for both teams and understand both sides. And, here I am. I'm still in the Bay Area. I have a family here, and, I teach here with kids around the area. And, I just like the Bay Area a lot better, even though I'm from the Southern California, but you can get around here quicker than you would down there.
Terry, thank you so much for your time to reminisce. It's a great career you had. And of course, Giants-Dodgers rivalry continues. But thanks again for your time today.
All right, Bill, no problem.
That was Terry Whitfield on the KNBR Warm-Up Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Welcome back to our KNBR Giants warm-up on the Sports Leader.
All right, welcome back to the KNBR warm-up show with Bill Laskey as we get you ready for that first pitch, the final game with the San Francisco Giants against the LA Dodgers in Dodger Stadium. First pitch is at 1:10. You can hear it right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader. Two starting pitchers, Trevor McDonald getting his first start into major leagues. He's coming up a couple times. He was in last year at the last game of the year through 3 innings against St. Louis with 1 strikeout and 1 walk. Got recalled on September 16th this year, and he ended up throwing against the Arizona Diamondbacks on this road trip through 2 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. But boy, oh boy, he's got to go up against the Bombers of the Dodgers, and 232 home runs this Dodger team has hit. So we'll give you the lineups in a second. Emmett Sheehan is going to be pitching for the LA Dodgers, a 25-year-old. Has been in 13 games, 10 as a starter. He's 6-3 with a 3.17 earned run average, 60 1/3 innings, 46 hits, 11 home runs, 26 walks, 64 strikeouts. He's pitched really well the last 3 starts against Philadelphia. He went 5 2/3 innings, only giving up 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. Against Colorado, he went 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. And against the Pittsburgh Pirates, 4 2/3, gave up 2 earned runs. So the Giants are going to have to hit the hard-throwing Emmett Sheehan. He's got a good slider and a changeup, so you're going to look at some good numbers against Emmett Sheehan against the Giants. And the Giants are going to have to do a little bit better on the offensive numbers. They have struck out 40 times in the last 3 games, 14 times on Thursday, 14 on Friday, and 12 on Saturday. So put the ball in play. That's what you need to do, and try to get a win today for the SF Giants. Let's take a look at the lineup. So let's look at the Giants lineup that Bob Melvin has posted for the 76 and 79 San Francisco Giants. A leading off play in left field, hitting .258. Elliot Ramos is back in the leadoff spot. Batting second, Rafael Devers hit a home run last night, his 32nd on the year. He's going to DH today. He's hitting .251. Batting third, Willie Adames. He's hitting .227, playing shortstop. Matt Chapman back in the 4 spot today. He's playing third base, hitting .234 on the year. Bryce Eldridge is hitting 5th. He's going to play first base today. First time at the big league level playing some first base. Got his first hit yesterday. Of course, that was a double in the first inning with 3 RBIs. He's got a batting average. He's 1 for 12, .083. So I'm looking for more damage from Bryce Eldridge today. Batting 6th, Jung-Hoo Lee back in center field. He's hitting .263 on the year. Batting 7th, playing second base, Christian Koss is in the lineup today. He's hitting .261 on the year. Drew Gilbert back in right field, batting 8th. He's hitting .202. Andrew Kisner is going to be catching today. He's batting 9th, hitting .222. So the lineup is Ramos, Devers, Adames, Chapman, Eldridge, Lee, Koss, Gilbert, and Kisner. That's the lineup that's going to try to break this 3-game losing streak for the San Francisco Giants. On the home side, Dave Roberts, 88 and 67, going back to the playoffs for the 13th consecutive year. Of course, they're going to put their power numbers in. They got to win the NL West. And we're leading off, Shohei Ohtani. What a great year. He's having 53 home runs, 99 RBIs, hitting .283. Batting second, playing shortstop, Mookie Betts. He's hitting .260 on the year. Freddie Freeman batting third once again, playing first base, hitting .292. Max Muncy back in the 4 spot. He's playing third base, hitting .248. Andy Pages is going to be hitting 5th. He's back in center field. He's hitting .278. The Giants killer, and he's a forever Giant, Michael Conforto back in the lineup, hitting 6th. Batting playing left field, hitting .203. 12 home runs as he hit his 12th home run yesterday. Miguel Rojas will be playing second base. He's hitting 7th, hitting .266 on the year. Alex Call will be playing right field today. He's hitting .267. And Dalton Rushing will be behind the plate, and he'll be catching Emmett Sheehan. He's hitting .184. So Roberts throws out Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Muncy, Pages, Conforto, Rojas, Call, and Rushing. There's the 2 lineups as we get ready for the 1:10 first pitch. Coming up next, I sit down with the Willie Mack Award winner from 1981, Larry Herndon. He also was a World Series champion when he played with the Detroit Tigers as he ended his career. Sporting News National League Rookie of the Year in 1976. He does not do a lot of interviews, and I pulled one out of him, the 14-year veteran. Coming up next, Larry Herndon and I sit down and talk baseball, and don't want to miss this one. This is a fun interview with Larry Herndon. That's coming up next on the Warm-Up Show with Bill Laskey, right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
We're getting you in the mood for a crazy crab sandwich, some garlic fries, a cha-cha bowl, and some orange and black baseball. KNBR's Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the sports leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR Warm-Up Show with Bill Laskey. I'm pretty excited to bring my guest on. He played 14 years in Major League Baseball. He was a World Series champion in 1984 with the Detroit Tigers, a Willie Mack Award winner in 1981, and the Sporting News named him National League Rookie of the Year in 1976. Let's bring in Larry Herndon today. Larry, how are you?
Oh, everything is good, Bill. Good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. And of course, today's the last game the Dodgers and Giants are playing. Let me think about a couple of things about you as well as the Giants back in your day. Of course, back in the late 70s and early 80s, it was a whole different rivalry against the Dodgers and Giants. Tell me why the fans loved watching that games.
Well, I just tell you, there was no love there, first of all, between the Giants and the Dodgers in those days. No love whatsoever. It was a pure battle. So I think the fans loved that, especially, our guys not liking the Dodgers, and I'm sure their fans was the same way about their guys not liking the Giants. So it was war almost. Baseball-wise. It was a tough series all the time.
Well, Larry, it was differently played in Dodger Stadium and Candlestick. Candlestick Park, it seemed like it was rowdier. The fans loved the Giants so much. They came out to support the Giants. Tell me your thoughts at a Candlestick Dodger-Giant game, because it was definitely different.
Yeah, it was different. I don't know why. It was just hard baseball, and I know that. The fans at Candlestick, they were raw, they were tough, they were different from the Southern California fans. So it was just a rough, tough sort of crowd that, love us playing hard against the Dodgers. And it was just fun to be in that atmosphere.
Larry Herndon joined me on the KNBR warm-up show. You came up to the Giants in 1976. The outfield was Larry Herndon, Gary Matthews, and Bobby Mercer, three fantastic outfielders. And you were part of that outfield. Tell me a little bit about Bobby Mercer and Gary Matthews as your partners.
Oh, man, you don't get any better than that. I was it don't get any better than that because, you learn so much from these veteran players. And I was a 22-year-old coming up with these two, and they were just very calm, nice, cool cats. And they taught me, they gave me advice, and, I can't say enough about either one of them. They were just really nice guys, and they were teachers in their all, different ways. Gary, me and Gary could talk a little bit. We went out a little bit. He'd come get me, pick me up and bring me to the ballpark and just sort of take care of me like a brother. But Bobby was more of a, veteran cat that had been through some wars, and he would tell you, really how to go about it. So I just appreciated both of them. I got a lot from both of them, quite a bit from both guys.
Larry, Candlestick Park was tough to play in the outfield. You played center field, left field, as well as right field. The elements were the tough part. The wind would change. The ballpark played differently night to night, to day to day. How did you come to fashion about playing it each day? Was it different for you as an outfielder to judge it differently?
Yeah, it was a little different because you had to pay attention. And what I mean by that, you got to come in, it's like we come in at 5 o'clock, it's calm. Mm-hmm. And the wind is just, the sun is shining and it's warmer. And about 6:30, 7 o'clock, the wind started to kick up, and you have to see where your flag is. You have to pay attention to see where that flag is moving. A lot of times the flag would be deceiving. It could be blowing in from left and blowing in from right, or blowing across, close to the infield, because of the enclosure. So you had to really pay attention and every inning go out there and throw a little grass up and just see what you got. But it was it just made you pay attention, and it wasn't tough, it wasn't hard, but it was so different to have all those elements. And their games was just as beautiful as you could ever dream of. It was just calm and quiet, and sun was shining. So it was like I said, you just had to pay attention.
That voice you hear in the KNBR warm-up show is Larry Hearn, and of course he was the Willie Mack Award in 1981. The offensive numbers that you put up at Candlestick, lifetime 270, 89 RBIs, 10 home runs, 38 doubles, 21 triples. You liked hitting at Candlestick because the numbers definitely showed. Again, you have to change the elements again as you hit. How did you do that as a hitting part of it?
Well, I didn't. Pretty much, I didn't let it bug me. There's some guys let the wind, get in your hair. And I was, I came from St. Louis. I was raised in St. Louis. I went through the minor leagues with the St. Louis Cardinals, and they taught me to hit line drives. So pretty much, line drives cannot be affected too much by the wind if you hit the ball hard enough and on the line. So what I try to do is just be a line drive hitter and not let that wind affect me. I'm sure guys that got the ball in the air quite more than I did, it would affect them because you could just crush one and it'd blow it right down. But I was more of a line drive hitter, so I didn't really mind hitting in Candlestick. It never bothered me. I enjoyed it, actually.
Larry, hitting off left-handed pitchers, 296 lifetime, 56 home runs. John Candelaria hit 447 off him, 21 for 47. Randy Jones, you hit 462 off him, 18 for 39. You could go a little further when you played with the Detroit Tigers. Guidry, you hit 370. McGregor, another one, 465. The left-handers, you love sitting in that box and drilling them because you were hitting them pretty regularly.
Well, yeah, I didn't mind left-handers because that breaking ball was breaking into me, Bill. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was always breaking into me. Now, J.R. Richards, a different story. Right-hander, throwing sliders about 98, and he started that thing at your hip, and you just, somehow your hip just don't want to stay in there. So left-handers didn't have that pitch. So it didn't bother me much. I didn't mind hitting the breaking ball coming across the other way. So,
well,
I guess
right-handers you did pretty well too, Larry. You hit 260 off of them, 50 home runs. So it wasn't a big difference. Only 296 was a big difference. But you didn't face that many left-handers. A lot of times it was a lot of right-handers you went up against. But like you said, the right-handers again, the sliders, the breaking balls going away from you. You had power numbers. You ended up with 107 home runs, 1334 hits. These are just numbers that are being thrown out in a 14-year career. And when you look at over both sides, righty and lefties, you were hitting the ball pretty good.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Bill. I never looked at it like that. I always look at I got to get a little better. I got to do a little better. I didn't run back and read my stats to see how I was doing. But I appreciate you saying that. But, I just tried to compete and do what I could to help my team. And somehow it turned out okay.
Well, Larry, let me throw this number, Larry, to you. 14 years, your career batting average was 275, 550 RBIs. We always talk about runners in scoring position. This is something else that you did extremely well upon. What did you do thinking-wise in the on-deck circle when you were coming up with runners on base? Was there a different thought pattern in how you approached the pitcher?
Yes, Bill. And I got to tell you, I kind of learned this over time. It's just that when you're coming up and there's a run out there that you need and you got to drive it in, it's the same at bat you have. You have the same at bat in April as you do in September. I never put a big emphasis on pressure situations because I tried to make every situation pressure. I hope that makes some sense. I didn't wait till the 7th game of the World Series to play the 7th game. I tried to play it in April. Or when I was taking those at bats, I tried to. Every at bat was very serious to me. So when I got up to, and that was men on base, I took it the same way I would with nobody on base. So I didn't really put pressure on myself in driving in runs or whatever, trying to drive it, especially in a cut situation where we needed a run right here to win a game or a tie game. I just took my at bats the same way. Does that make any sense? I hope
Oh,
it
it
makes
sure
sense.
does. It sure does because a lot of times hitters do put pressure on themselves in those scenarios, and they put pressure on themselves where they pop the ball up or they strike out. And your
Mm-hmm.
theory is take the pressure off and make good contact. And I think that is exactly, you were a hitting coach. You probably taught that same way.
I tried to teach the same way. I really did. Yeah. Got a little grandson in junior college in Arizona, trying to teach him the same thing, and he understands it. So it worked for me, Bill. So that's one of the reasons I felt like I could be okay in pressure situations.
Larry Herndon joining me for a few more minutes on the KNBR warm-up show. The Willie Mack Award's coming up at the next homestand. You were a Willie Mack Award in 1981 about spirit and leadership, voted by your teammates back then. You got a chance to play with Willie McCovey earlier in your career. Tell me a little bit about him as a teammate.
Just golden. I mean, how can I put it? He was just such a great example. You know, he was a star. I caught him toward the end of his career, had watched him, as I was coming up, and I knew all about him when he was in San Diego before he came back to the Giants. But being around him was just a example in, how to carry yourself with class, do go about the business the right way every day. And he represented the city of San Francisco as well as I've ever seen anybody represent a city that they played in. He was San Francisco. You could just, you could feel it, being around him. He was just, back in the day. I mean, I guess you're old enough to know there were certain guys that just, they were stars, man. I mean, you can't get around it. Dressed like stars, they looked like stars, they played like stars. Willie Mack was a star. So,
Larry, when you think about Willie McCovey as a teammate, but what about an overall teammate? Was he a leader in the clubhouse? Did he bring players up together? Did he go to their locker rooms and talk to them? Was he kind of a low line captain of the team? Because he wasn't really boisterous, but at times when he spoke, everybody listened.
Right. That's it right there. When he spoke, everybody listens. He listened. He was the kind of person that didn't really have to, call team meetings and do that kind of. Like I was telling you before, he led by example. He approached the game right. He played the game right. And if you knew anything about baseball, you knew he did this all the time. So if he did have to say something to you, or if he pulled you aside, I know myself and I know a lot of other guys listening to what he had to say. So that was the kind of leader I saw. He was just a quiet, not a rah-rah guy. He was just, he led by example.
Larry, as we finish up here, that award means more to anybody than you because you were a teammate of him. You got to know him on and off the field. When you look at that award in your room where it's placed, what does that mean to you down deep?
It means a heck of a lot down deep.
Yeah.
I thought about, they invite us back, every year to award, for the award to the new recipient.
Sure.
And that's just the biggest honor that I could receive just because it's the Willie Mack Award. And because I did play with him, because I did meet the man, because I know what the award is about. It wouldn't be a time where they invite me back and I wouldn't come. I come out there mostly, as a big part of it, because it's the Willie Mack Award, and I'm very honored to receive the award in his name, number one. But it's always voted on by your teammates. It's something else that that's added to that award because your teammates are involved and the coaching staff and the training staff. So it means a lot. It's a big deal.
Well, Larry, I appreciate your time today, and I know the Willie Mack Award will always be special to you, as well as for every recipient that gets it. And a pleasure always to catch up with you, my friend.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Good talking to you. Thank you.
That was Larry Herndon on the KNBR Warm-Up Show. More coming up next right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
While Bob Melvin preps the men in orange and black, we'll prep you for today's ball game as our Giants warm-up continues on the Sports Leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR Warm-Up Show with Bill Laskey, and the Giants will be playing about 90 minutes, 1:10 first pitch today, and a couple right-handers going for the Dodgers and the Giants. Emmett Sheehan will be pitching for the L.A. Dodgers, and his first start of his Major League career, Trevor McDonald, a 24-year-old from Mobile, Alabama, will be getting a start for the San Francisco Giants. As Larry Herndon did just now, he's a Willie Mack Award winner. They're going to be putting out a new Willie Mack Award winner this Friday when the Giants host the Colorado Rockies. This award started in 1980, and the first one that was award winner was Jack Clark. In 81, it was Larry Herndon. 1982, Joe Morgan. 1983, Darrell Evans, Bob Brenly in 84. Mike Krukow, of course, the great broadcaster of the Giants, he had it in 85 and 86. In 87, Chris Spire. In 88, Jose Uribe. In 89, Dave Dravecki. In 90, Steve Bedrosian. Some great names right there. In 91, Robbie Thompson. In 92, Mike Tiny Felder. In 93, Kurt Manwaring. In 94, they didn't give it out as a Major League Baseball strike affected that. In 95 was the first time they separated, and they gave co-winners Mark Leiter and Mark Carrion won it in 95. In 1996, Sean Dunston got the award. In 97, J.T. Snow won it, and also in 2004, J.T. Snow won it, another two-time winner. In 1998, Jeff Kent. 99, Marvin Bernard. In 2000, Ellis Burks did it. In 2001, another co-winners, Mark Gardner and Benito Santiago. In 2002, David Bell. In 2003, Marquise Grissom. In 2005, Mike Matheny. In 06, Omar Vizquel. Benji Molina won it in 07 and 08, 2 years in a row. Matt Cain won it in 09. Andres Torres won it in 2010. Ryan Vogelsong in 2011. In 2012, the president of baseball operations, Buster Posey, won it that year. Hunter Pence won it in 2013. Madison Bumgarner in 14. In 2015, Matt Duffy won it. 2016, another co-recipients, Javi Lopez and Brandon Crawford won it that year. 2017, Nick Hundley. 2018, Will Smith. 2019, Kevin Pillar. 2020, Mike Yastrzemski won it. In 2021, Lamont Wade Jr. In 2022, Wilmer Flores. In 2023, Tyro Estrada, and last year's winner was Matt Chapman. 2025, we'll find out on Friday when the Willie Mack Award will be presented, and we'll see who's going to win it this year. All right, coming up next, I sit down with Kirk Reeder, 13 years. He pitched for the San Francisco Giants and the Montreal Expos. He's on the San Francisco Giants Wall of Fame, and we all know him from Woody. Have a great time talking to him. Have some laughs coming up here next. On the Warm-Up Show, Kirk Reeder and I talk baseball right here on Sports Leader.
It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
Welcome back to the KNBR Warmup Show with Bill Laskey. I'm excited to bring a guest on. Of course, everybody's going to know who he is once I introduce him. 13 years he pitched in Major League Baseball. You see his beautiful plaque on the San Francisco Giants Wall of Fame on the Embarcadero. Number 46. Okay, everybody's guessing. Kirk Reeder. How are you, Kirk?
Great, and glad to be on with you.
Well, Kirk, as you know, Dodgers, Giants rivalry, it's one of the biggest rivalry the Giants have had all the way back in the 50s and 60s, and it goes on and on. When you hear that rivalry, what's the first thing you think of?
The first thing I think of is September of '97, when we were down 2 games, and back then we only had a 2-game series with them, and I was fortunate enough to pitch the first game at Candlestick and beat Chan-Ho Park, and when Barry hit that home run and did his pirouette at the plate in the first inning, and then obviously the next day when Brian Johnson walked him off and we tied him, and then obviously we went on to win the West the last couple weeks of the season, but that's something that I'll never forget, and I think kind of summarizes my feelings of Dodgers Giants. And I don't know, you might have to check this, but I don't know if the Dodgers ever finished above the Giants from '97 until maybe the '04 when I think Finley beat us on a walk-off. But we had pretty good success against the Dodgers.
Well, let's go back to that game. September 17th, 1997. You threw 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 13th game. You won that game 2-1. You threw 95 pitches, 58 for strikes. 9 ground ball outs, 10 fly ball outs. But the one mistake you made, Raul Mondesi hit a solo home run off you. When you look at this lineup they had, and they had a pretty solid lineup against you, a lot of right-handers, Eric Young, Otis Nixon, Piazza, Karros, Mondesi. You know, this was a tough team. These were power hitters. When you reflect on that game, was it a lot of off speed you threw, or what was the mixture of pitches?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of in and out. I know Brian Johnson did a great job of just going in and out with my fastball and mixing in the changeups and curveballs because, like you said, a bunch of most of their lineup was right-handed. So I was living on the outside part, but still trying to keep them honest because I think probably the biggest pitch I made in that game, and I don't know what inning, it was probably the 6th maybe, but it was 2-1, and I know Otis Nixon had EY was on, I think, and Otis Nixon bunted, but I went to field it, and then he was so fast, everybody came to field it, and nobody was covering first, so they had first and second with only one out, and Piazza and Karros were coming up, and I ended up jamming Karros on an inside or Piazza on an inside fastball, and he popped it up and then struck out Karros. But I think the pitch to Piazza, was obviously my biggest pitch because at that time he was their most feared hitter, and to get in on his hands. But like I said, Brian Johnson did an outstanding job that night of calling the game, and I might have shook him off twice all night. So it was a good communication game with me and him.
That voice you hear on the KNBR warm-up show, my good friend Kirk Reeder. Let's go back in time, Kirk. You pitched with the Montreal Expos and then came over to the San Francisco Giants, but you wore number 42. And, of course, number 42 is retired throughout Major League Baseball of Jackie Robinson and what he did in the game of baseball. When you wore number 42, did you think about Jackie Robinson, or was it just a number they gave you in Montreal and you kept wearing it?
Montreal, they just gave it to me when I got there, and they had no idea who I was because I wasn't even in big league camp that year, the year that I got called up in '93. So they gave me that number, and I just kept wearing it. And then obviously, I think it might have been, when I got traded over in '96, the Giants gave it to me, and then, with the next year, I was hearing about, and obviously I knew who Jackie Robinson was, but I wasn't aware of the number right at the time the Expos gave it to me. But then obviously the more I was in Major League Baseball a couple of years, then you start realizing the significance of what Jackie did. And then I'll never forget when Major League Baseball decided to retire it. They were like, "Oh, you can get grandfathered in, or you could, give it up." And I'm like, "Oh no, I would give it up. It needs to be retired." And I still remember Dusty coming up to me and saying, "Hey, we were going out on the field, and Peter McGowan and everybody was going to be up, out in the middle of the field." But Dusty had said, "Hey, Hank and Willie are going to be here today." He said, and I hadn't really got to know Willie as good as I did over the years because this was my first, full year with San Francisco. But I'm like, "Oh my gosh." He goes, "Oh no." He goes, ask them to sign your 42. He goes, "That would be a great thing because, we're retiring it for Jackie Robinson, and then you'd have Willie and Hank on it." And so, yes, I got Willie and Hank Aaron on my last 42 jersey in San Francisco. So it is proudly displayed in the shed.
I was just going to say that there's no doubt it's on the wall in the shed, along with many other things you have. Kirk Reeder joined me on the warm-up show. You ended up pitching 36 games against the LA Dodgers, 35 starts, ended up with a 3.84 earned run average. You finished 12-12 against the Dodgers. Did you know those numbers at all?
No. I mean, I knew I had won a lot of games, but obviously you face them, I mean, a lot of times because it's in the West. And I knew I'd lost some games too. But I think if you go back, and it usually worked out, and you know how baseball is, people will remember the game, even though every game they all say count the same, but they'll remember the ones if it's a bigger game. And it always seemed if it was the end of the season against LA, I was able to beat them. So I think, Giants fans might think I beat them a little more maybe than I did, but I know even in I think it was the '04 season, we had to sweep them at their place, and I started the Friday night game to start that series off in LA, and I beat Weaver that night too. So I think, Giants fans, I usually did really well against them late, it seemed, and early is when they would get me.
Kirk, the days have changed. Back in my days in the 80s and 90s, that was a huge rivalry, of course. And then in your years in the 90s and 2000s, it was a different kind of rivalry. It changed from Candlestick to your years when it was 3Com and now, of course, Oracle Park. Why do you think there's not a big time rivalry? Do you think it's too much of a competition in the NL West with the San Diego Padres, the Giants, and the Dodgers? Do you think it's just spread out a little bit more?
And I think guys, even when you were there and when I was, it didn't seem like everybody changed teams as much as they do now.
Yeah.
Or you didn't get a lot, like everybody knows everybody now. Like in our day, like there were some times I'd go meet guys on other teams, and that was the first time I'd even seen them or kind of even talked to them at all. And now in today's age of social media and all that stuff, you can talk to them or on Twitter, or they can like stuff of yours. And I think there's more interaction of guys on other teams. So I think, you're not it's not like they're your enemy in today's game. And I think in our eras, it was like, oh my gosh, I've never even talked to these guys. I got to beat them. They're the other team. And it's changed in that regard to where I think guys know each other. Even when we were playing, I don't know if we all went out and were talking all the time to the other team during BP, but I think now, like I said, guys change teams a lot more, it seems like, in today's era, and they know each other from, even functions. I think there's more functions that they do probably in the off season or stuff that they're able to get together and they might get to know each other better.
So, Kirk, I did a little deep dive in you, looked up some numbers and stats. Of course, you finished your career with 130 wins and 92 losses. What month do you think you had the best success when you were pitching in the win-loss direction?
What month? Oh,
You'll be surprised.
Saying,
I was kind of surprised, but again, you did pitch very well at the end of the year. I'll tell you the answer. It's September.
That's what I was going to say. I would say late. I was going to say either like July when it was a little warmer or late.
Yeah, September 28-11 career. In August 22-17, the second half of your seasons, you finished 63-41, which was outstanding. But the month of September, I was a little surprised. I thought it would have been more in the summertime, like you said, June or July. June, you were 23-13. So, when you start looking at numbers, you don't remember it. Of course, us pitchers, we don't remember half of the things you throw out there. But I thought that was pretty impressive, the month of September being 28-11.
Yeah, I would have said, I wouldn't have thought that big a discrepancy, but I knew the only thing I remember in September is I do remember 97 because I was able to get Dusty to give me his manager, one of his manager, that he's got a few of them, but one of his manager of the year trophies of 97, because we were in Cincinnati the next year and the touchdown club or whatever was giving him the manager of the year. And I kidded him. I said, "Hey, Bake," I said, "give me that for the shed." I said, "You wouldn't have got that if I wouldn't have went 4-0 in September last year."
A couple other numbers I pulled. When you're ahead of the hitters, they hit 214 off you. When you were even, like 2-2, they hit 270 off you. But when the batters had the advantage on you, 332. That was a big number there. But of course, you and I were both controlled pitchers, Kirk, and the key was to get ahead of hitters, and that's what you did a lot. You weren't a big strikeout guy, but you got a lot of outs and ground balls and fly balls. What was some of the things that you thought about as a pitcher, getting ahead of hitters, 0-1, the basic thoughts, or what were you thinking when you went on the mound?
Yeah, that was always my game plan. If I could, and obviously I'd want him to hit the first pitch. I loved it if I got through an inning and, threw 6 or 7 pitches, but got 3 ground balls or 3, fly outs. I was always trying to keep the ball off of the sweet part of the bat. So a lot of times, even my first pitch to a hitter, I was probably throwing a 2-seamer or sinker, to a righty, kind of just off the plate and hoping they're going to be aggressive and they'll roll it over, or even if they are trying to hit it to right field, they won't get the sweet part of the bat on it and they'll still pop it up. So that was kind of my game plan. I knew going in, I probably wasn't going to strike out 10 guys in a game.
Well, we looked at a few things here, and I loved looking at this. And umpires behind home plate, some of the good ones, some of the bad ones, some of them that squeeze you, and some of them that like your strike zone. The one that really outstanding was Mike Winter. I don't know if you remember him. You were 8-4 behind the plate with him, and that was the best one. Bill Hahn was 6-2. Brian Gorman 5-2. Of course, a couple of them were not your way. Eric Gregg 0-3. Darrell Cousins 0-4. Do you remember some of these umpires? Do you remember some of the things you liked about them, and maybe some of them you didn't like?
I don't know, man. I would have thought Eric Gregg would have been a good one because he was usually. I might have had him against like the Phillies or the Mets all the time because those were the 2 teams I could never beat for a long time. Because he was usually a pretty good pitcher's umpire, so I would have been shocked. I'm shocked at that one, but I don't know where Joe West is on that list because I don't think he enjoyed me when I was younger. But as I got older, then he liked me a little more. But I know he yelled at me a few times when I was young, and I know my favorite. I shouldn't say favorite, but the only way I really remember him was because I had him my first start of my career against the Giants, and it was Frank Pulley, and he gave the little pump of the fist like anytime it was a strikeout, and I thought that was cool. But then he had told our catcher Darren Fletcher after the game, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know who this kid is, but I like him because he works really fast." So,
well, as we finish up with Kirk Reeder on the KNBR warm-up show, of course, Dodgers Giants. It's a big rivalry this weekend, and the first thing I thought of was pitchers that pitched against them. You and I did a great job against them. And it's just a rivalry that we always will remember. It's something that, back to Candlestick days, to Oracle Park. If you had one thought that you said, hey, you know what? The Giants are better than the Dodgers. How?
Do you mean this year?
Overall thoughts on the Dodger Giants.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'd say they're better because I played for the Giants and not the Dodgers. so it's kind of like what side you come up on, and I would put and the Dodgers have unbelievable history too, but I would say our Giants history is still better than the Dodgers history, and that's what I would hang my hat on. But I mean, it's 2 great organizations, and like I said, it's a great rivalry, and it's always great for the fans, and it's good for ex-players like us because I'll enjoy it, but obviously I'm going to bleed orange and black all the time, so I'm always going to say the Giants are better.
I'm right there with you, Kirk Reeder, and I appreciate your time. And of course, Giants fans can look at your beautiful plaque on the Embarcadero at the Giants Wall of Fame, a great plaque for a great pitcher as yourself. And I appreciate your time today.
Oh, gosh, it's my pleasure anytime.
That was Kirk Reeder on the KNBR Warm-Up Show. More coming up next right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Once upon a time, there lived 3 energy hogs. Now, an energy hog is what you have when humans waste energy. One day, the 3 energy hogs set out to find themselves a cottage.
Let's look for leaky windows,
said the first energy hog, for he knew that would waste energy.
Let's look for leaky doors,
said the second.
Let's look for a swing set,
said the third, for he had more blubber than brains. So they set off down the road. Presently, they came upon a tiny cottage where dwelled a clever girl named Dreadylocks.
I hope it has leaky windows,
cried the first energy hog.
I hope it has leaky doors,
cried the second.
I hope it has the bathroom,
cried the third, for only his brains were smaller than his bladder. But Dreadylocks liked playing cool games at energyhog.org, and from energyhog.org she learned how to use energy wisely. So the 3 energy hogs were forced to look elsewhere to waste energy, and had to use the disgusting restroom at the gas station down the road. And the moral of the story is, to use energy wisely, log on to energyhog.org or waste not, hog not.
This public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
A partnership born in 1979.
A three-run homer for McCovey, and the Giants win in the bottom of the 13th inning.
We were there when the kids grew up.
27 years of waiting have come to an end. The Giants have won the pennant.
We were there when they moved into the best ballpark on earth.
That one is wet.
We were there for history.
Matt Cain is the first pitcher in the 128 years of the Giants franchise to pitch a perfect game.
We were there for a dynasty.
Swing and a miss, and that's it. Cabrera takes strike 3 call. They have won the World Series for the third time in 5 years.
And we're excited to announce an additional 4-year commitment to carry our partnership through our 50th year together in 2028. We are your proud home of San Francisco Giants baseball. KNBR, the sports leader.
Ew, it stinks in here.
Passing gas. Is there a right time and a wrong time to do it?
Come on, huh? I'm trying to eat.
When indoors in the company of others, passing gas is not only taboo, it can be deadly.
I'm gagging.
Passing gas releases a plume of toxic vapors like ammonia and hydrogen cyanide.
Oh, you're killing us over here.
Every year, hundreds of infants exposed to passed gas die.
What? I cracked a window?
And just opening a window isn't enough. These deadly fumes can linger in the room for hours after odors have dissipated.
Daddy, you promised you'd smoke outside.
You're right, Pumpkin. Excuse me.
If you smoke, take it outside. Don't pass gas. A message from the American Legacy Foundation and the Ad Council. Get the facts at don'tpassgas.org.
Mommy, sing me to sleep.
Sure, sweetie. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. You're a ball of gas that's very far. 32 light years in the sky, 10 parsecs, which is really high. Helium, carbon, and
hydrogen
fuse to make our starry friend. When it enters supernova stage, it explodes with bursts of rays. And if the star's mass is big and bold, it will become a big black hole.
And if the star's mass is big and bold, it will become a big black hole. Thanks, Mom.
By the 6th grade, many girls lose interest in math and science, so it's up to parents to help create a brighter future for them. For some simple ideas, go to girlsgotech.org.
A public service announcement brought to you by Girl Scouts of USA and Ad Council.
Think fast.
Now breathe.
Think slow.
And stretch.
Think round. Think square. There's plenty to think about in the newest research now coming out. It shows that regular exercise and a diet low in saturated fats and rich in antioxidants are not only good for your heart, they might even help to reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. So the Alzheimer's Association encourages you to think small, as in blueberries and other dark-skinned fruits. Think big, as in a long, brisk walk and a big bowl of dark green leafy veggies. And think about your future by visiting the Alzheimer's Association today at alz.org for more ways to maintain your brain. alz.org. Thinking ahead today might make all the difference tomorrow.
Now back to the show built for the orange and black family. This is Giants Warmup on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, back on the Giants warm-up show with Bill Laskey. About 55 minutes or so, a little more than that for first pitch. 1:10 is the first pitch against the final game of the Giants and the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Of course, Emmett Sheehan will be pitching for the Dodgers. against Trevor McDonald, a 24-year-old rookie. He's only been up a little less than a couple weeks, but we'll find out what he can do against his Dodger lineup. So let's take a look at the lineups as we get you ready for that 110 first pitch. Bob Melvin, 76-79 Giants record. We'll be showing this lineup today. Elliot Ramos leading off, playing left field, hitting 258. Rafael Devers will be the designated hitter, batting second, 251. Willie Adames will be playing shortstop in the third spot, 227. Matt Chapman in the fourth spot. He'll be playing third base, 234. Bryce Eldridge is going to play first base there. We're going to see him play first base on the defensive side. Of course, yesterday he got his first hit. He's 1 for 12. He's got an 083 batting average, but he's got a batting average in the big leagues. Jung-Hoo Lee back in center field, hitting 263. Christian Koss will be playing second base, hitting 261. Drew Gilbert playing right field, hitting 202. And Andrew Kisner will be catching, hitting 222. So the lineup once again, Ramos in left, Devers DHing, Adames at short, Chapman at third, Eldridge at first, Lee in center, Koss at second, Gilbert in right, and Kisner behind the plate. Let's take a look at what the Dodgers throw out there. Dave Roberts, the manager, 88-67. Shohei Ohtani will be DHing, hitting 283. Mookie Betts will be playing shortstop, hitting 260. Freddie Freeman playing first base, hitting 292. Max Muncy batting fourth, playing third base, 248. Andy Pages playing center field, hitting 278. Michael Conforto playing left field, hitting 203. Miguel Rojas will be playing second base at 266. And Alex Call in right field will be batting eighth at 267, as well as Dalton Rushing behind the plate, hitting 184. That's Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Muncy, Paez, Conforto, Rojas, Call, and Rushing. First pitch, 110. I want to thank my guest today, Dave Tobner from San Francisco Gate. You can read his work, does a great job as a sports writer over there. Terry Whitfield, Larry Herndon, and Kirk Reeder. If you missed any of those interviews, they'll be on the All KNBR podcast. Tonight on the Extra Inning Postgame Show, I sat down with Steve Garvey as well as Gary Lavelle. Two good interviews on the postgame show. I want to thank my producer today, Cole LaPelt. He did a great job for me as well as for you listeners out there. And you know what? When you talk about Dodgers-Giants rivalry, it is something that back in the 80s when I pitched, it was something you looked forward to. It was something that you always knew that was a rivalry. It was just like that crosstown high school rivalry, but it was a little different. As you heard in some of my interviews, back in the 70s and 80s, it was really, really tough for the fans. It was really into it. The rowdy fans at Candlestick Park to the lay-back fans in Dodger Stadium. But it was still a rivalry. And that's what I love to see, if this Giants can somehow win today. Win today. Just get one win out of these 4 games. It would get them going for the last 6 games. 3 games against St. Louis and 3 games against Colorado. One win, that's what I'm looking for today, as the Giants need to break this 3-game losing streak. A tough road trip. They're 1-5, and you go back to last weekend, and they're 1-7. So really, let's get a good game together, and it's really going to depend on Trevor McDonald. The bullpen's pretty beat up, and the Giants have been piecing this together for the last week or so. The pitching has just been struggling. When they come home, St. Louis, Verlander, Logan Webb, and Robbie Ray. They'll be pitching Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday against the Cardinals. So try to get back to 500. I think that's the main thing as the San Francisco Giants are finishing out their 2025 season. For Bill Laskey, it was great having the KNBR warm-up show. Next coming up is the Giants pregame show, and Brian Murphy will be up next on This Date in Giants History, right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Don't miss a second of the action from Bowmel Squad. Listen to the best double plays in the business.
Wisely has it, flips to Fitzgerald for 1, over to first, double play!
Plays at the plate.
Freeman hits a high chopper to Chapman, he's got it, he's coming home, and the throw in the tag, and they got him!
Sean Miller's home run call.
There's a shot, deep down the left field line, it's on its way for Berkeley! Adios, pelota!
All season long on the San Francisco Giants Radio Network.
Well, it's one last day in Los Angeles, one last road game for the Giants, the final one away from Oracle Park here in the 2025 regular season. It's the Giants and the Dodgers wrapping up this 4-game series. Giants are going with a semi-bullpen game. Trevor McDonald is going to get the start. Emmett Sheehan, a right-hander, goes for L.A. I'm Dave Fleming along with John Miller. We've got a full pregame show to come. It's the Giants and the Dodgers baseball on the radio.